Newcastle United head to Ellen Road this Sunday. With injuries and suspensions, can the likes of Osula, Jacob Ramsey, Miley, and others rise to the occasion? And by the way, we've just bought £80 million striker, Nick Woltemade. Who is he? Is he any good? And is he the Isak replacement? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right. Praise God, I'm here and I'm with you guys, lovely people. I hope you guys have had a good day and having a great week so far. For me, I'm living life to the full as always, and I'm always blessed, always grateful to have you guys. As always, you guys could have been anywhere in the world doing anything else, but you chose to be here with me on Toon Tactics TV, talking all things Newcastle, talking all things about our club. But as always, folks, I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are blessed. And I always say this, but it's true. I had prepared our match preview. I got tons of slides talking about all about Leeds, which I'm going to discuss first. Then we're going to talk about this £80 million striker Newcastle chose to buy when I'm just about to prepare for my show, called Nick Waltameade. And, essentially read a scouting profile on him, compare him. He's 23 years old, so we're going to compare him to 20. He turned 23 this year, so we're going to compare him to Isak when Isak was 22, 23, and see the comparisons there. What stage are they? Do they have those similar ingredients as well? And we're going to end the show also, hopefully, with reading some of the kind of news reports about that. I see already banter in the chat. Is he the Isak replacement? Is he, even if he is the Isak replacement, does it mean that Isak is going? All these things and more. It's lots and tons of reports. Whether it's Keith Downey saying Isak's going to get his dream move, whether it's Luke Edwards doubling down, whether it's the I newspaper, which I'm going to read today, which I haven't had to read yet, but we're going to read together. I'm expecting a bit more of a balanced review as to what could happen next. So, folks, and by the way, obviously our special guest James Mitch is going to be joining our show at 10:30. So he's going to help us as always to break all of this down. But folks, I want to make sure I say hello to the. And by the way, the pre-match reviews are going to be extensive. We want to get our tactics right. We're going to be also our scouting for Mr. Woltemade. As I don't think I've watched a game with him, so yeah, that's going to be a thorough review as well. So, guys, lock yourselves in, get your seatbelts in, be ready for. I think we might go over time, over midnight. So, if you guys are, whoever managed to hang on, God bless you. God bless you, folks. So, in the chat, Mr. Wolbojog, hey Phil, word on the street, the new striker is only Wilson's replacement. Yeah, well, look, if he's the only striker we get, it's going to be difficult to sell him. So to sell Isak, I think, but we'll see. We're going to talk about some of that. We are going to talk some of that, but I think it points to the narrative, isn't it? Who's gonna blink first? Liverpool and Newcastle. Sarah Robertson, God bless you. Good to see you. Evening, Philip, and the chat. Evening to you, sir. Wouldn't it be funny if we signed Woltemade and Wissa, then kept Isak, not just to pee him off, but those obnoxious Liverpool fans too? Oh my word, that'll be the story of the century, honestly. That would be hilarious, honestly. Adrian Pickett, good to see you. God bless you. Evening, Warbo and Sai. Evening to you, sir. Evening to me, even to them. Evening to you. Congrats on your Isak replacement. Wobojog says, Phil, does he have a release clause asking for a friend? Who? Woltemade? I doubt it. We don't. I don't think we've bought anybody yet that has had a release clause. Aaron Cave, good to see you. God bless you. Aaron Cave, we need a tactical breakdown on Woltemade. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Cy Robson said, "I've been watching some scouting videos of Woltemeade on YouTube. He may be 6'6", but he's good with his feet. He'll be useful in the build-up of the attacks." Yes, yes, all those things and more. El Capo, and let me know, guys. Do you think he's, what do you think comparison to? We're gonna compare it to obviously Isak, but also, would you? I want to see from you guys. Would you have preferred Sheshko or Ekatike, or the other Delap, the other guys that have been linked to, or do you think Woltemade, is the guy to go forwards with? El Capo, good to see you, even Phil, and all the mags. Eddie Howe's 67 million curveball just entered the game. Indeed, and nobody can say no more that Eddie Howe is only buys Premier League players. That Mr. Brexit label should have left ages ago. To be honest, it was unfair in the first place. Aaron Kemp says Woltemade is some. He's a hell of a Wilson replacement. I think he's a ceiling raiser for sure. Aaron Kemp says Piff have already said they won't sell unless the 150 million price tag is met. Indeed. So let's see what happens with that, isn't it? Because I think Liverpool have been saying we don't want to skew the market, and already my camera's doing a dodgy one, so let's just fix that. Or get
Hello. I can't hear you, Philip. Nah. Don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Hello. I can't hear you, Philip. Nah. No, nothing. Well, hello everybody in the chat. Just joining, so I'm not really sure where we are with the show so far, but I know most of the Newcastle fans in here must be excited by the signing of Mr. Woltemade. So yeah, I'm sure Philip will join us back again in a minute, and we will fully get into it. The chat's popping off as well. I love this show, man. Every time I come on, the chat's always going off. Nah, nothing. Nothing. No, we can't hear you. I was just laughing at Wobojog. He's hinting that you might have a Swedish mic that's on strike. So we need a new one from Germany. No. Can't hear nothing at all, bro. I think it's crazy. Something crazy is going on your end. For a jog, man. No, we're still getting nothing from you. Still getting nothing from you at all. Nothing at all. Yeah, we do definitely get that crowdfund going. Get Philip a new camera. Need to put one of them QR codes in the corner, like buy me a coffee. I can't hear nothing at all. No. Right, I'll try and fill some time here, guys, but I have no control over screens or anything. But let's see how we got on, because I was literally just flicking through X before I came on and seeing videos of Woltemeade arriving at St James's Park for his medical. So as much as I was not ready to be hurt again earlier today, not getting fully involved in this transfer, I'm now deeply entrenched in seeing how this goes, and it looks like it's done. Looks like we could even potentially get him signed, sealed, and delivered before the cutoff for this weekend, so he could potentially be in a squad. So as much as it's not normally Eddie Howe's way of going about things, I think this one could be different with the couple of injuries we got the other day and Osula not really being ready to start. I think this could be the time that Eddie Howe once brings in a guy. Yeah, that's the one. That's the video that I saw as well, Martin, entering the hotel. So hopefully they can get the medical done, turned around, and him signed by 12, all the paperwork in. And
You know?
yeah, you're back. Love that.
Right, yeah. All the jokes about my Swedish mic and all that. It's on. We'll get back. Thanks, Mitch, for holding down the fort. That was crazy. Right, we're going to talk about Woltemade in a moment. But we're going to do the Leeds match preview first.
Yes.
Get through that. Tons and tons of stuff, because I actually put a lot of preparation into that until Newcastle decided to buy a next 60, 70, 80 million pound striker. I don't know how much he is. Like the figures keep on going up and down. But I did overhear you say that there's already images of Mr. Woltemade entering the getting to Newcastle, right?
Yeah, entering his hotel this evening in Newcastle.
Wow, so he might be on the bench. He might be on the bench then.
Yeah, I reckon he'll be in the squad. It could be one of them weird times that Howe just chuck someone in without his usual bedding in period, because I feel like we need it at the minute.
I think Osula starts. But let's see how it goes. And let's see.
I think it would be a good move to start him after coming on and scoring. It would be good for his progression and his confidence to not just feel like, I'm back on the bench straight away.
I think so too. So let's get into it. And right, so I forgot the gentleman's name that put this together. I think it's Ryan Hurst. I think it is. I probably got it wrong, but he seems like really young. But he's done a really fantastic review. So I took some screenshots from his stuff. I will put his website into the descriptions and make sure I big him up on X. And I think it was also from Stefan that does not our Stefan. It's this. I think it's me. Like I forgot this is Media Stefan, something like that. But he's done a great tactics as well for it. So this is a review of Leeds when they played against Everton. Now, obviously, we know that Leeds played Arsenal and got whooped. I don't think that's going to be the best demonstration of Leeds at the moment. They just got crushed. And we might touch on it a little bit as to why I think they got crushed. But this is obviously the Leeds 1-0 victory over Everton at Leeds. And fair play, we're going to be playing. Obviously, we're going to be playing Leeds at their ground anyway, so it is still pretty relevant. So they when they're in the possession, in particularly, they sort of go into a 3-1. Was it 3-1? 3-1-4-1 type of thing, where they've got the three in the back, they've got Ampadu in the middle here, and they've got. I think I've got the comment thing in the way, so I can't see it. Let me take the comment off for a minute. So it goes into a 3-1-1-2-4-1 type of situation. So you got three at the back, Ampadu or Tanaka, who would exchange often. They're meant to be their midfield pivots, but they'll exchange often with the back three. I just bookmarked this to say that I think Joel Bland reported that both Ampadu and Tanaka are injured, or they're not going to be playing this game as an Okfori. And I think it'll be Sean Longstaff and Ilian, I think his name's Ilian Guerres. So I did a little profile on all those midfielders, but I just wanted to kind of highlight both Ampadu and Tanaka, what they do, and kind of also what Leeds might be missing without those players in there, but also what they might be getting with Sean Longstaff. We know a little bit about Sean Longstaff, obviously, and also Ilyas, I think Gurev, who I don't know too much about. So they do this thing where they got the three in the back, typically with the one screening in front of them, four across the midfield. The Goodmanson providing the width on one side, and their fullback, typically, I forgot the gentleman's name on that side, providing width on the other side, whilst Bogle, not even a fullback actually, it's their forward that provides, it'll be either Nonto or, depending on what side, it'll be either Nonto or Dan James. That's it. Dan James will be providing the width on this side. Bogle is their fullback, but he usually does underlaps, and he drops into these little final third places here, causing kind of havoc and kind of linking up with Pirot, their striker, and the rest of the midfield as well. And that kind of really disrupted Everton's line a lot, and they were able to get in behind a lot. Plus, they weren't able to follow the fluid movement of Ampadu, who'd either drop in the final three, and Tanaka will go into the midfield, or Tanaka will then obviously drop into the final three and go into the midfield himself. So they kind of play this fairly fluid system as well. But Everton, they played this 4-4-2. They kind of stayed in their half. They were very kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? They were very static. And you can see here, they did the 4-4-2, and they're just like, because they weren't pressing, it allowed Goodmanson, Stack, and Nonto, for instance, always to get into these wings and cause these 3-versus-2 situations. This is a warning for Newcastle not to let that happen, essentially. And I think if Newcastle had played against Aston Villa away, it's unlikely for that to happen. But that's how they're able to do it. They keep the two points of Goodmanson and Dan James on the sides, and they allow Bogle or maybe Stack at times to, or if Goodmanson takes the point there, Nonto tucks in next to Price, Pirot, and then you even start to create these superior numbers, even 2v1 situations on the back line as well. And that always kept Everton pinched back. Feel free to interrupt. Just know that I'm just like, I'm like, whoa, I already kind of got my mic off and everything, and I had to make up the time. So yeah, that's how they kind of get these numbers. You got Nonto, Stack, Goodmanson. They tried that against Arsenal, but it's Arsenal, and they know how to defend, and they know how to do transitions really well. And then, first of all, they know how to even stop these type of situations from happening. But this is obviously Everton. And it disrupted Everton really, really, really hard. And even when Everton were able to break the ball loose, again, they only had one or two players up front against Leeds' four at the back here. I will say at this point, though, they leave a lot of space on the flanks if they do this stuff.
Yeah,
they leave tons of space, and
they're leaving spaces in places they don't want to against us.
Right. Exactly. Ampadu has it's not going to be Ampadu. It's going to be Sean Longstaff or Ilyas that are going to be covering this space. There's a lot of space to be covering against. I know that obviously Tonali and Joe Linton aren't going to be fit, but even so, Miley and Ramsey will be enough to pick up the ball. But then forget that. If we hit a direct ball through to Elanga, Tanaka's not catching Elanga. And you guys will see from the profile, he's not the quickest guy. He's very good on the ball, but he's not the quickest guy. Tanaka, it was not Tanaka that's going to be playing. It's going to be Sean, whether it's Sean Longstaff or Ilyas. If they drop into there, they do not want to be in the 1v1. And Rodon does not want to be in the 1v1 with Gordon. There's not many fullbacks in the league that want to be 1v1 with Gordon.
It'll be
as
Barnes
well.
though, won't it? Because Gordon's now suspended.
Yeah. It'll be Barnes. At this stage, I'll ask you before we move on. Why don't Howe move Elanga to the left, put Murphy on the right to add the pace, or do you think Barnes has done enough to stay on? I'm a little bit unconvinced by Barnes.
I was frustrated with him Monday because I felt like he should have done better against Slobosly. But that's the kind of defender he hates. That's going to give him no space, that can match up to him physically, and like his little jinx weren't really working, so he couldn't get away from him.
Yes,
I think he'd probably prefer this kind of situation because Rodon's not as quick as Slobosly. He's not as physically as inept as Slobosly is. So I reckon he'll get more joy. I don't think Howe will drop him. I don't think just yet. I think he'll give him one more game. In fact, he might, which would be even harsher on Osula, go with all three.
Ooh, that could be it. That would be a bit harsh on Osula as well. All right, so out of possession against Everton, they went into a 4-5-1. So 4 at the back here. Let me take off that comment because I can't see the bottom of the screen. But they go into a 4-5-1 out of possession. Bogle, Rodon, Stroik, Goodmanson. Again, Ampadu, or there will be probably Sean Longstaff in between the lines here with Stack, and there'll be Ilias again, and James and Nonto sort of tucking in as well. And this allows them to try and block out the central areas quite effectively as well, but also on the flanks. We drop into a 4-5-1 as well when we need to, or 5-4-1 if we really need to. We want to be really pragmatic. And Leeds aren't too far away from that. And it allows them, whenever Everton tried to get onto the flanks, it ensured that Leeds were never outnumbered. There was always 1v1 type of situations where we're up the field, and ensuring that there was never any superior numbers. And Everton again didn't move the ball quick enough. It's going to be a different story with Newcastle. If the Newcastle that I think the last 2 performances suggest, it'll be a much more aggressive and intensive Newcastle that turn up. But if you don't do that, this is the situation you're going to get to. You're not going to be able to get past. So before I get into like the weaknesses of their formation, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Mitch, before we kind of discuss their weaknesses of how they kind of set up.
No, most of my stuff would probably be on their weaknesses of how I think we could break them down quite quickly. I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sending me the tactics board as well. Is this the JLA one?
Yeah, that's the one I've been using the last few weeks.
Is it already set up? Because I got mine set up, but if yours is already set up, I don't mind. I'll have to practice it. I'll have to practice using it, right?
Yeah, practice it. But I'd say have a look into it because you can pull teams up instantly. So you don't have to input any data. It has every single player on it straight away.
Thank you. You made a sad man happy. So yeah, essentially, if we don't do these right things, if we're not intense in our play, if we haven't got our runners, our rates joining in, our fullbacks pushing up, we're going to be into these. We're going to be as static as Everton were. So it's important that we start off intensively against Leeds. Now, a couple of things I wanted to note before I go to the chat about the strengths and weaknesses, or the weaknesses of Leeds of having a 4-1-4-1 formation in the way they play. So the fact that even Tanaka and what's the gentleman's name? Tanaka and who's the kid that was out? Tanaka and Ampadu are both out. Like these guys are really. I'll have a quick profile of them. They're really, really important for them. Obviously, Sean Longstaff is there to add that depth, but they're good. It's a big miss for them, as are Tonali and Joe Linton for us, to be honest. Now, in a 4-1-4-1 situation, the holding midfield, there's two positions that are very important. There's different aspects, obviously, for every game, but just in tactically, there's two positions that are very, very important. Holding midfield one, and we're going to talk about the striking position as well. So the holding midfield is responsible for all like their defensive actions, obviously ensuring that they're able to screen the back four, that the opposition aren't able to break between the lines, but also their offensive actions. So when they want to get out in their build-up play, the holding midfielder is absolutely key to that. And we're going to keep that in mind when we're kind of looking at what Newcastle can do about that in terms of pressing. Whenever I was looking at this, I'm thinking they're so lucky that Joe Linton and Tonali aren't available. But there's a big, big job for Miley and for Bruno. We know Bruno do, but for Miley and Ramsey in terms of doing that. If we can, whoever the holding midfielder is, I think it might be Sean Longstaff. Or it might be Ilias, actually. He's more of a number 6 and better under pressure. If we can suppress them, we disrupt their ability to play out from the back. If we disrupt their ability to play from the back, we're going to force them to play out long. And there's not many teams that can really have many joy against Newcastle when they play out long with Dan Burn and others. So there's that first one. And again, we've talked about Tanaka, why he's important, but he's out. His game IQ, his creativity, I think it's 27, 28. He's been playing for them for a while. His composure, he's excellent under pressure. Adaptability, he's very aware of where he is, and they're going to miss him. Now, over short distances, he's got pace. Over long distances, he's not so fast. So we were talking about earlier when they got the midfielders dropping into the back three, it's dangerous to leave lots of gaps. And if you've got pace like of Elanga or Solo, I think he might play, and Barnes or Jacob Murphy, it's a dangerous thing. But Tanaka isn't playing, so they're going to miss his composure. They're going to miss his ability on the ball as well. They're also missing Ampadu. I think he's there. I think he's got. I don't know if that means he's a captain. I didn't check.
He's their captain as well.
He's their captain. He's their right. So former Chelsea Academy player as well, Ampadu as well. He's their versatility player. Now he can play in the back three, though he plays in their midfield. So that's why he's so important to them tactically. His work rate, his stamina, he's ambidextrous, left foot, right foot, so it allows them to play through the lines. They're going to miss that. Sean Longstaff isn't Mr. Left foot, right foot. Right? So there's
crazy if they play Longstaff as the 6, by the way.
It would be.
Crazy. That he was very effective in the 8 for us because of how much ground he covered. I don't think he's disciplined enough or good enough on the ball to play in a 6. We would press the hell out of him. That would be one of our triggers instantly if Sean Longstaff plays in the 6.
Yeah, he's going to take that as an insult, but he'll know why. He'll know why. And otherwise, it's Ilias, who's meant to be. We've got a little profile on him. He's meant. I think he's coming back from an injury, from what I was reading a little bit. The other key part is their striker. We're going to talk about Pirolo. I think his name is Piroli, and Lucas Nemeka. Now, if the name Nemeka sounds familiar to you, his brother is, I think it's Emmanuel Nemeka. I forgot his name.
Something like that, yeah. We was interested in him a little while ago, weren't we?
Yeah. He played for Wolfsburg, and I think he plays for Dortmund now. He's a central midfielder, but Lucas is a forward as well. So I think they got Calvert-Lewin as well, but Calvert-Lewin is injured. So
shock.
So goodness gracious. He played in the League Cup for them, or FA Cup League Cup for them, and it just didn't. Honestly, I don't know what to say. So anyway, the striker. If the striker in a 4-on-4-1 has to be able to hold up the ball, has to be able to lay it off, and going back to holding up the ball to wait for support to arrive, which in the Premier League is difficult to do. Unless you've got an elite striker, which I don't think they have. Again, I haven't watched those guys play, but from what the skimming through scouting reports that I've read, they're good, they're talented players, but whether they're Premier League level players remains outstanding from my point of view. So, but that's the other key player. And again, so if whether it's Dan Burn or Malik Chow, who I think will play, because Fabian Schär's got to do the what do you call it, the concussion protocol. think Malik Chow's going to have because he's so proactive. I think he's going to have a very, very good game. This is an opportunity for him to have a very, very good game, in my opinion. So Piroli and Lucas Nemeka. It's either one of them. I think it's Piroli that will start, and Nemeka typically comes on in the second half. If you take, for example, the Arsenal game, if you take, for example, the Everton game, which is what they've done. Joe Piroli, that's it. Piroli, technical ability is good, strong on the ball, capable centre forward or playing with a second striker, calm under pressure, a decent at converting chances. However, his weakness is physicality, lack of strength and duels. If that is true, if that's the case, if Newcastle can, like I was saying earlier, if Newcastle can disrupt that holding midfielder, and force them to go out long, and you've got a striker who isn't the greatest physically, against already a very physical, very robust side in us in Newcastle, Newcastle can control the game without the ball in that circumstance. That makes sense if in all those areas. So it'd be interesting what they do. It'd be interesting to see how they're doing, what they do to kind of adapt to that as well. He's a goal scorer though, and has composure, has versatility. He's best playing in possession-based teams as well. I think it's important that we bring everything I read about the strikers and players. I just thought if Newcastle, I don't know if you remember when we had that kickoff against Aston Villa, we like literally hit it straight to the throw-in, and we just suppressed them. If that Newcastle turns up, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Leeds to be Leeds in that area. Nemeka too, his main strengths is around, obviously he's able to shoot the ball. I think he has got physicality and quick feet, intelligence, good at dribbling, good tactical awareness, but he has weaknesses around his inconsistency, hence why he's on the bench, especially goal efficiency and everything else. So he's not their go-to guy just yet. So if Piroli is not working out, we have to be mindful of Nemeka's ability on the ball. He likes to go out on the flanks, likes to try and get one-on-ones in as well. But I think, again, I don't think it's beyond us to be able to contain him in that way. And if he's not effective in front of goal, again, that's going to be an issue for them as well. So let's see what happens there. So the players that are going to play, this is Ilyas. I keep on saying his name wrong. It's Gruev. I think
this guy. Yeah.
You know him, yeah? You aware of him? So
he's okay. I wouldn't really be too fussed with. Like he doesn't worry me at all. If he's the guy that plays deep in their midfield again, I think we can rush him. I think we'll press him hard and we'll get the ball off him quite easily.
Right. And again, they're so lucky we don't have Tonali and Joe Linton. But even with the midfielder we do present, I think even Bruno all over him is going to be an issue for him. Though his strengths are obviously ball retention, covers significant ground, really good at positioning, decent at progressing the ball and retaining possession. But one of his weaknesses is around kind of direct impact. So he's not really a final third type of player. He's not an Ampadu, right? He's not ambidextrous, necessarily going to be breaking the lines all the time, though he is capable of doing that. He's a bit more safe with his passing. So again, without Ampadu, they're gonna struggle quite a bit. They really don't have anybody that kind of covers those areas that well. And again, I don't think he's the biggest guy in the world either. So 6 foot something Miley, I expect to have the better of him. Ramsey to have the better of him. I still think our midfield's better than theirs. Even like our second, the guys that are going to be coming off the bench, in my opinion. So I do expect to have kind of.
It's sort of 2 of their main midfielders are out and 2 of our main midfielders are out. So if you look at the 2 teams, based on that, you're sort of reset to the point of if it was full strength, I'd say.
Exactly.
So they're playing 2 backups. We're going to be playing 2 backups. I reckon this is where our season really kicks on from. I think we win this by a couple and then we really kick into gear properly.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously Sean Longstaff. who we know a little bit about. Strengths, obviously his work rate, his pressing, he's going to be doing that. Defensive reliability is going to be covering a lot of ground for them. Passing, now people do think he's not progressive, but he does do. He's been getting a little bit better on that towards the end of his career at Newcastle United. But he's not no Andre Pirlo. I kept saying Pirlo today. He's definitely not no Andre Pirlo in doing that. So I do think from the midfield areas they may struggle in the creative aspects of the game. But he has experience. 171 games is nothing to sneeze at. And obviously he's played for us. He knows all about us as well. Needs to obviously develop his output and consistency in terms of key passes. He's not going to be doing that a lot. And final third passes. And we know about his some lack of quality in his technical ability, finesse, limited impact. It's hence why there's a reason why Bruno, Tonali and others, and really Miley was going to be second choice above him in that area. And probably Jacob Ramsey would have got there as well. So he's going to be coming out there with a lot, trying to prove a lot. Really, I anticipate as well. So, what you kind of expecting? Do you think he's going to be looking for not a vengeance, but to prove a point? Longstaff,
I think he will a bit. Like as a little bit of a betting man, my bet for this game would be Sean Longstaff to score or get a yellow card. He's guaranteed to do one of those two things for me. But like I've never had too much against Sean Longstaff. He was a key asset to us for a very long time. His work rate up and down, his movement created spaces for others. That little sort of run in between your right forward and your centre forward always created that little angle. Yeah, I don't see how he's going to be effective if he starts on Saturday, because he hasn't started yet. And he's a player that once he gets 3-4 games under his belt, you really see him thrive. And that's the reason we let him go over the others, because he just doesn't he's not an impact sub kind of player. He needs to be in the flow of games, get his form, keep his form. Once you take him out for a couple of games, he's got to find his form again. And that's the reason why he got moved on from Newcastle. If he could have affected the game from the bench consistently, I reckon we would have kept him. So again, if he comes in, he's still going to take a couple of games to get up to speed. So that's just another tick in the box that makes me think that we should really just overrun these in midfield quite comfortably, even though it's at Ellen Road.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron Kemp says Tanaka is a player I really rate. Yeah, from what I'm reading, like the bits I saw him against Everton, he was really running things, but then Everton weren't the greatest, but still would have caused issues for us in them spaces. I agree with that, and pockets, but I think we would win this game. I think we win the midfield battle, and I think that's what's going to win the game for us, honestly. Smokey says smash likes buttons and subscribe, folks. Please do smash the likes buttons and subscribe. I don't know if you can see, Mitch, how many likes have we got so far?
Is it showing up 17 at the minute?
17, guys. Our conversion rate.
We can do better than that, people.
We can do better. We can. Let's try and break 20, and then we'll move on from there. You know, our conversion rate is crazy. Let's keep that up. Aaron Kemp says, can see Longstaff being told to disrupt Bruno. That's going to be. Longstaff will know that's going to be a long day. Yeah. And that's something I can see him doing well because of his stamina and positional awareness. They are underrated traits, and Bruno isn't the quickest. That is true.
Bruno's movement does him, though. Bruno's very clever with his movement and his first touch, positioning his body. It gets to a point. As much as I think it would disrupt Bruno for a little while, once Bruno gets into his rhythm, if he does it early, Longstaff will be on a yellow card within 20 minutes because he'll close him down and Bruno will do a little shift and shimmy and Longstaff will hang a leg out a couple of times and pick up fouls early. I don't think that's a good idea. He's not the man I'd want to mark Bruno at any point in time.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk about transfers in a moment. Any more in the game? Oh, no, you guys. We'll go back to that in a minute. So the other thing I wanted to mention is I think it is very possible we're going to have four rotations as a result of injuries and suspensions coming on. I do think Osula will play, though I do agree also with you that it will be harsh if he doesn't. play, because I think the goal he scored was a striker's goal. There's a lot in that, in what he did, and I think it shows that he's learned a lot from what Howe is teaching him as well. So I think it'd be harsh if he doesn't play like that. If Woltemade just steps off the plane and goes to Ellen Road and starts, I think that would be insanely harsh.
I think that's the time. If that happens, we need to find him a loan for this season.
And do you know what? He's got a loan to Leverkusen. There's a rumour loan to Leverkusen,
who we've now got in the Champions League.
Who we've now got into the Champions League. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. If we've got a little bit of time. So Osula, Jacob Ramsey, I expect to start, obviously for Joe Linton. Malik Chow, who I think is going to be absolutely key, because we was talking about, it kind of merges a little bit what Aaron was saying about, Bruno not necessarily being the quickest. For instance, I think maybe he's talking about the recovery pace. This is where Malik Chow proactivity, going in, pressing high and winning the ball, I think is going to be super, super important. I'll kind of talk about it on the tactics board in a minute. And Miley, I want to go out on loan. Miley, I want minutes. Miley, I think this is your chance. If you ever had a chance to show people who you are, it is a game like this. And I expect my hope is for all of them to step up. It's going to be, I think they're all going to be absolutely key, in my opinion. So before we get onto that, let me just get to the tactics board quickly with.
You know what I think on these new players, yeah, the one I'd say is key is Ramsey, because I feel that this is a big problem for Joe Linton. The injuries come at a terrible time for him, because I think Ramsey stamps his authority on this position while he's out injured, and it's going to be very hard for the Joe Linton to get back in.
You heard it here first. Here first. So let me get the tactics board up quickly, and I wanted to just show a little bit in possession, out of possession. Where are you? Here we go. Here we go. I hope it doesn't flick and change back, because sometimes it does that. It's annoying. Right, can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah, let me zoom in a little bit. Right, so tons of changes as well. I don't think Lewis Hall is going to play, but essentially, Dan Burn, Trippier, Malik Chow, Livramento, obviously on the back here. This is us essentially pressing with the ball. So this is where I think where Newcastle can really, really, really take over. We talked about the individual players that they're missing in Leeds. Obviously, they go into this 4-5-1 type of shape when out of the ball. In terms of from playing out, well, they go into they try to press a little bit higher like this when they're playing out from the back. I think Newcastle will be very intensive. So, in my opinion, I think Osula will be somewhere. If I don't know how good their goalkeepers with the ball, but in saying this position, if the goalkeeper has the ball, you anticipate their centre back to split. And Osula would say, we're trying to, for instance, if we're going to block the left side of the field. So let me just get the square out. Where is it? Here we go. Let's say they want to try and work it through here. Let me get my cursor back. Here we go. So where is Osula? Here he is. I think his main aim, obviously, will be try to block the passing channels here. Starting from here with Bruno on Ilias, all over Ilias like a rash, Ramsey and Longstaff, and Barnes somewhere in between or covering the passing channels to Bogle, who tried to come out as well. And I expect Livramento to obviously be there. Dan Burn pushes up, and I think Malik Chow is going to be very, very crucial here. In the sense of either Newcastle go into a free in the back a little bit, and you've got Malik Chow on Perot, or if Newcastle want to be very, very aggressive, you've got Malik Chow pushing up even further on Stack, with Lewis Miley on Ilias, and Bruno a little bit more aggressive, blocking Ilias here. So really forcing the goalkeeper with Dan Burn one-on-one with Perot here. and Trippier and Nonto on the side like this. A bit more risky to do it that way, but
I think with that personnel, I don't think Howe risks Trippier against Nonto.
Yeah.
The pace mismatch is too much. If we played Hall, potentially, but I don't think he'll do it with Trippier.
Or he leaves Malik Chow at the back with Dan Burn 1-on-1 and Trippier pressing up. So the worst thing that can happen,
likely,
yeah, exactly, because the worst thing that can happen is Nonto knocks it past Trippier. He's not going to knock it past Malik Chow. So really, Malik Chow is going to kind of be this. He's either going to be the sweeper, or if Newcastle really fancying themselves, he's going to be proactively going into the heart into these spaces as well. So
you might even see Trippier pushing onto where Stack is, and then
right,
Chow
that's even
coming
better.
onto Nonto.
That's it. That's even better. Yeah, where Stack is exactly. Trippier where Stack is, Malik Chow and Nonto. Right. So in this kind of situation, you're trying to force the goalkeeper to either try and do these almost like chip balls into Perot, which is very, very difficult to do. Or again, force him to hit it to the other side rather than here to try and pick out the one man that's on the left here, Goodmanson. Again, but if Goodmanson gets it here, what happens is Elanga blocks off the channel, Trippier blocks off the channel, and you've got this kind of situation going on. And he's locked in, and he's going to have to force a hopeful ball and pray that Perot's got the pace on Dan Burn or something like that. These are like what you're trying to create a situation is where you're forcing Leeds to hit those Hollywood balls, right, onto the sides there. So I just think even without Tonali and without Joe Linton, we can still be very, very effective in kind of preventing them from hitting out the back. Again, unless Ilias is Bruno G level in his intensity, and they can still pass the ball to him, even with Bruno closing them down or Lewis Miley closing them down, which I don't think is going to happen. I just don't see them playing through us like that if it's the Newcastle that turns up. I don't know if you had anything you want to kind of say on that, but yeah, I just think we can disrupt them from playing out the back against us.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be playing out the back very well. Who's their goalkeeper, by the way? I'm just trying to figure out who.
I forgot the guy's name. I forgot to add him as well.
Is it still
Darlow?
Mazzelia or whatever? Oh, it's called Darlow.
Is it Darlow or Mazzelia? Who played last time?
If it's Darlow, then yeah, good luck playing out from the back. We know all about Darlow. I can't see that pass into Gruev going very well if Darlow has to keep feeding it through little gaps.
So I see them hitting it long, to be honest. And just a quick one, when they're attacking, let me see, where's Ramsey? Ramsey will be here. Trips, Malik, Trips, Miley.
Do you think he might be ever so slightly tempted with three at the back?
Who?
How? Might be just a slight temptation, because then you can release your fullbacks slightly, well, your wing backs slightly, to create overloads in certain areas.
So what are you thinking? Bruno pushes up, Miley pushes up. What, Burn, Chow, and Livramento type of situation?
No, potentially actually playing Burn, Chow, and Botman.
Oh, and what, 5-3-2?
Yeah.
So who would you take off? Barnes?
Yeah, probably Barnes, yeah.
Where's Botman? I didn't even put Botman in here. Oh, there he is. So are you thinking Botman?
Because the first image you had up with Leeds attacking, where they're trying to create overloads, does more suit defensively a back three.
Okay. So Botman in the middle, Diamond. Go on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's just something that I think that he might potentially have thought about, because then you can release whoever your two wing backs are to play higher up right on their fullbacks. You've then got Malik Chow defense against Nonto, Botman defense against Pirro, Burn defense against Dan James, which is probably a slight pace mismatch, but it's still pretty solid in the way that you're defending.
You might have a point here. So hold on. Does Bruno push up here against Ilias?
Bruno pushes on. Yeah, Bruno pushes on. Ramsey goes near Longstaff. And then Burn covers Dan James. Unless Burn plays in the middle, and then you'd have Botman on Dan James. But it depends which way round he plays it. I think he
That'd be
likes
risky
Botman
for pace,
as
though,
the
no?
middle man, though. Yeah, it would. I think that he likes Botman as the middle man, though. But then if if they've got a goal kick, that's an easy change to make, is it? You can just switch that pretty simply, just for goal kicks that Botman pace matches up with Dan James, and Burn comes on error.
And you can always control. Like I was going to say to you, it's risky having Dan James 1-on-1 with Dan Burn, but there's if Newcastle design it to be that way, where we tempt them to make this Hollywood pass, we can be prepared for that, right? So
yeah,
if that's
and that pass has got to be immaculate, by the way.
Honestly,
if Nick Pope's 5 yards further out than you've got him now, he's only got probably about 5 yards of pitch to hit, where Dan Burn doesn't hit it and Nick Pope doesn't clear it.
Like this ball has to be so perfect.
Yeah, on the money it has to be.
On the money. And Dan James's run has to be amazing. It's more likely to try and hit it on the flanks here, in which case Dan Burn doesn't necessarily have to match the speed, but he can just make sure he doesn't get a turn on him and wait for others to get back. I can see that. Hal's got some options here.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking earlier, because with the injuries, he might just think, look, this is tried and tested. Let's not go too rogue and throw 4 new players on the pitch. Maybe he takes off one of the new boys and does something that way. But it's just something that I thought he might be considering.
If I see the Botman and everybody else, that might be something. That might be something. Guys, let us know in the chat what you guys are thinking about this. Before I get your score predictions, Mitch, I'm going to just go to the chats real quick. Gosh, it's ringing off. Absolutely ringing off. Apologies, guys. I haven't read them, but I know what the likes are. But folks, do like, share, and subscribe. As always, been absolutely phenomenal. Aaron Kemp says, Osula should definitely start against Leeds. He's had his cameos and deserves his opportunity. He needs to be tidy when he's on the ball. That will come with minutes and experience. And I agree. I think, look, Rodon and the others aren't the quickest. There's an opportunity for us to really stretch the play here. There's a way for us. I like what you said about the 5-3-2, because we can really squeeze that midfield. Yeah. We can really, really put a squeeze on Leeds, I think. Yeah, Martin Bland agrees. He thinks he earns it. Giniesta, big up Giniesta. God bless you, sir. Big up Philip and Mitch. Big up Queen of Heart. God bless you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Cy Robson says, I agree with Mitch. Oops. Did I take that off? No, I didn't. Right. I agree with Mitch. Ramsey is going to make an impression on the team, and Jason will struggle to get back into that starting lineup. So, like, where's this come from? What's he's shown you?
I love Joe Linton to bits. Yeah, he's like, everything about Joe Linton is every team needs a bit of that. But Ramsey is like a more refined version of Joe Willock, and he has a similar energy to Joe Linton. He might not be as physical, but I think once he gets used to the way the team plays, he'll cover a similar amount of ground, but will give us such a different dimension going forward. Like, there was a moment against Liverpool where he got the ball one-on-one in sort of like a left attacking position, just on the edge of the box, a little bit wide of the goal. And where I've seen him play previously, I literally just thought he's going to shift this and get a shot off on his left foot. And he tried, but he didn't quite get the touch right. And it's like, Joe Linton, when he gets in them positions, you never really get that expectation of him. So I feel like once he gets to the point that he understands the system defensively, he offers us so much more going forward that Eddie Howe will struggle to find a reason to bring Joe Linton back in. I think a lot of fans underestimate how good Jacob Ramsey is going to be.
Big calls here. I like to hear it. I like to hear it. This is why we have Mitch on the show. And I've never thought of 5-3-2 or the Jacob Ramsey goal. Absolutely phenomenal. Aaron Kame says, I think Eddie goes Botman RCB. Honestly, I think that's a good idea. And Burn, Eddie takes his time betting players in. Just don't see him putting Malik Chow in already, if I'm honest. Hope I'm wrong.
I think the only thing that goes against that is that Chow came on.
He came on.
Monday. He came on Monday night, which shocked me.
Yeah. Like, why not Botman, essentially? But I think he's looking for that. he must have been thinking about just keeping the balance, isn't it?
Yeah. But we've seen
Yeah.
Botman play RCB when he came back last time. But then also the plus side of that, Chow coming in, how already trusting him means that if there is still a slight doubt over Botman's knee, he has more time to let the strength build up again, so that when he is fully back in the team, he's less likely to have another breakdown.
I agree. Davey calls for Livramento and Hall on. I think similar to Hall has also been built up as well. But once he gets back, that pressure on that I think Bruno constantly has in terms of making things happen on the ball is going to be shared now more. As I always say to people, whenever Hall plays, his touches, the amount of touches he has on the ball between 50 and 60 typically is very much similar to Bruno. So the workload is shared and we become a lot more better. Like how important he is it can't be. Once we get Hall, Ramsey, and Gordon on the pitch, we're going to see something different down that left side for sure. Aaron says he's also preferred Tino and Tino Hall as fullbacks as well. Sophie, good to see. God bless you. Hey, Philip, smash the likes up, people. Smash the likes up. How many likes have we got at the moment? Do you know, Mitch? Are we past 20?
We have passed. We definitely passed 20 last time I looked. 24 now.
Oh, excellent, guys. Let's head for that 30.
There's 30 people watching, so come on. There's 6 of you in here that haven't liked it, so let's get them ones in.
Let's get that conversion rate up. All right, so hit Queen Heart says hit Syropson. Yeah, we've got more than that. Brilliant. All right, guys, send in your predictions for the game. Send in your predictions for the game. Before we go on to Woltemeade, I'm going to ask Mr. Mitch, James Mitch, what's your score predictions?
I think I'm going to go 3-0. 3-0 Newcastle this one. I feel like we'll put in a similar performance that we have done for Villa and Liverpool. But Leeds are no Villa or Liverpool. They're not as good as an outfit. I think we'll create even more chances. And yeah, I think we'll put them to the sword. I think it could be a very sort of, we'll pin them back in. I think it'll be one of them games. We'll pin them back in. Once we get the first goal, do you know, we used to do that, the floods of goals where you get 2-3 in like 12 minutes. We'll do a little spell like that and then we'll just control the game from there, I feel.
I love the confidence, man. I love the confidence. Someone said, that's it. Geniessa said, I want to make sure we see it. Mitch does great content. Wear the hour sleep. Absolutely, guys. Make sure you guys like,
thank you very much, guys.
Subscribe onto that. Absolutely great content. Sophie B says 2-0 to the Toon. Davey says we need to win 3-1 to us. And I want to, before I get, the flip side of last year when we started. We were getting the results, but we weren't playing well. This side, we're playing well, but we're not getting the partly why we're not getting the results, because strikers go on strike, which is ironic. But we are playing well. That's what gives me confidence. And the more I kind of got to break it down, look at the players, the fact that Ampadu and others are going to be off as well, we're kind of on even keel again. And I think Eddie Howe has, with the players that we have now, the depth that's grown in our squad, he can do the 3 at the back. He can do that, or he can do the 4 on the back. Either way, there's a way to really squeeze Leeds. Yeah. And I think the only thing is if Leeds go into a low block, and we're going to learn if Ilanga can unlock low blocks. I think he can, but we'll see. We're going to see Jacob Ramsey. I want to see I want to see those key passes work, and I want to see Osula doing the runs. Okay, fine. 2-0. I'm going to go for 2-0 Newcastle. 2-0 Newcastle. Mitch went for 3. I went for 2-0. A few of you guys are saying 3-1s, 2-0s. Aaron says 2-0. I see here as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Right. Even though I prepared hours into this pre-match preview, that's not what you guys came to hear. You want to talk about Mr. Nick Woltemade. So, I don't know, Mitch, if you know too much about him. Let me find him. Oh, it's on this one.
He first came onto my radar in the Euros this summer.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, as part of the stuff we did on our channel, we followed both European competitions and the World Club Cup quite closely because we didn't want to just keep doing transfer shows. So we did quite a few shows based around both the European competitions, the women's and the under-21s, and the World Club Cup. So I got to see a decent amount of young Nick.
What was your impressions?
I'm basically all I'm going to say is the only one out of the strikers we are linked with that I would have preferred is Ekatike.
Right.
So if I had a choice out of all of the strikers we've been linked with, it would have been Ekatike.
Yeah.
Next on the list would have been this guy. And not just because we're getting him now, this would have been it was one of them signings that I didn't even think we could.
Yeah, no, really.
I didn't think it could happen.
We all thought it was going to Bayern Munich. We didn't even like.
Yeah.
We just closed our eyes to it because it's Bayern Munich, right?
Yeah. We used to, like a little while ago, we were saying how ice cold Isak is in front of goal. If you think Isak's ice cold, this guy's finishing rate is better. And he's got silky feet. He's tall. He's just about building into his frame properly. I think in a couple of years, he's going to be an absolute beast, but he's still going to be very good from the off, I feel.
Excellent. So I actually a lot of the scouting reports said that. I think even Aaron Kane for saying Woltemeade is so class, suits the way we play, so good, silky tall, variety of finishes. He's Germany's number 9 for sure. Now, I've got a report, scouting report here from Alexander. He used to call himself Euro something. I forgot what it was, but it's a very lengthy report. So I'm going to try and I don't know if I can summarize it in different places. So you might see me skip paragraphs a little bit here. But if you see something, Mitch, or whatever that I should pick up on, and do let me know. But it's a lengthy report. I do like it, though. I might probably read most of it as well. But I also wanted to show, after this report, comparisons of Nick Moore. He was 22, turned 23 in this season. So I want to compare this season to Isak when he was 22, 23. And he was, at the time, that's when Isak first joined us, actually, as well. So I'm going to make some comparisons between the two. It's very, very interesting in terms of how close they are in terms of their development. So, and make those comparisons and run that through by you guys. All right. So, Alex Myth-Bustin, Nick Woltemade. This is the scouting report. This was done in June of this year. When was it? June the 13th. So this is before, obviously, the whole Newcastle thing happened. He just wanted to do some, obviously, he's doing the scouting report on him. And obviously, Alex works for The Athletic at times as well. So it's a very, very interesting breakup. And he's talking about, it was only a matter of time until Nick Woltemade started getting links across Europe. He's a unique striker with tons of qualities, a few weaknesses, and some myths to bust. So he goes on to say, look, history and profile. Woltemade is 23 years old. A product of the Werder Bremen's youth setup. He's only transferred to Stuttgart last summer. So this is his breakout season. Going back further than so he talks a little bit about his background in terms of he played for Sepp Hoeneß's side. He had a bit of a struggle, Bundesliga 2. He wasn't like, don't think like he was like a star. Like he didn't perform as the team that he played for. Werder went down to Bundesliga 2 in 2021 and still promoted in 2022. You'd think that Woltemade's path to Stuttgart, a side that had just qualified for the Champions League in May 2024, would have been earned off the back of an excellent goal-scoring form. However, after being loaned to SV Elfsberg in 22-23, a third-tier side at the time, this is only 2 years ago, Woltemade managed just 2 goals in Bundesliga appearances. Of course, most of these weren't starts, but it wasn't glowing form, which is also surprising considering his profile and style. Now, if you're unaware of Woltemade, he's massive. He's 198 centimeters, so 6'7", 6'6" tall. He's about 2 inches taller than Isak, I think. Werder, meanwhile, attempted the 5th most long balls in Bundesliga last season. Their counter-attacking side that like to play quite direct. So why didn't Woltemade's giant, frame work there? So he has a theory about this. Go on, Mitch. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, it just makes me laugh when it just sounds like such basic management that you've got a guy that's 6'7", so let's just pump the ball up to him in the air. It sounds like such a basic management trait where if you've watched this guy, like if you've like it's not the same level. I would say this guy's probably going to be a lot better than him. But Peter Crouch was massive, tall, height wise, but he wasn't someone you'd go and just pump it long every single time you got it because he wasn't that dominant in the air. And Woltemeade is pretty similar when it comes to his aerial ability as Peter Crouch because he's tall, but he wants the ball at his feet. He wants you to hit his body. He wants to be able to deal with it rather than getting it lumped up. So every time he jumps, he can get a defender just putting their forearm through the back of his head every time. He doesn't want that.
Yeah, and actually, as you said that, that's exactly what. Let me go back to where is it? That's exactly what they were saying. Alex was saying in the report, which is yes, he is huge. Yes, he can dominate physically, but what he really likes doing is getting on the ball. He'll often drop quite far off centre backs and even out to the left wing, which is what Ekatike likes to do as well. To turn and run at defenders, and I mean run. He'll go into, spoiler alert, Woltemeade ranks high for dribbles and carries. Now, those aren't necessarily always successful. You're talking about volumes of dribbles and carries. The success rate is a bit lower, so he's a bit of a risk taker. So this is showcased in what I describe as his general responsibilities on the pitch. So he's ready to receive long balls. His layoff passes to surrounding teammates. He was beginning to sound like Firmino to me. Spray passes to runners out wide, navigate tight spaces and carry the ball. Again, we're trying to speaking of breaking down low blocks, drop off defenders in the final third to link play and create chances. Get into the box for shooting chances. I think he's one of the highest for shot creating chances as well. Press high, usually pressing the centre backs, then moving on to the fullbacks. And Eddie Howe needs a forward that's going to press the centre backs, especially when they're playing out from the back. So he's got all those important qualities, and the white dots here kind of represent where. What does he say? So first are his successful ball receipt. He says receipts. I think it's receives, which show how Woltemade consistently looks to drop into wide areas, then stick to the middle, rather than stick to the middle like a target man. So like you're saying, Mitch, he's not a target man. So the white shots here show that where he likes to pick up the ball down that left side as well. The second is dribbles attempted. You can see where he's willing to dribble, which is literally anywhere, almost anywhere, in and around outside the box, in the box. You can see him even in a few within his own half. So he's very, very clear. Like he likes to do that. Go on, Mitch.
See, the key for us in them situations is when he drops in and the centre back comes with him. Both of our wide men, when Gordon's back and Andy Elanga, will be told to run into that gap. Because whether Woltemade turns and plays the ball or he drops it into a Bruno, a Talani, or a Joe Linton, they're going to want to play into that space. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that now.
And Alex goes on to say, actually, that what he really loves about Woltemade is that he's constantly scanning. He's constantly aware of what's around him. And he's going to love the running from Elanga and Gordon and whoever our eights are to be able to do that. So it'll be easy to fall into the classic cliche. He's good. He's got good feet for a big man. I want to make it clear. Woltemade has great footwork. Full stop. He just doesn't have the ball. He just doesn't move on the ball like someone who's close to 2 meters tall. He can control the ball with all parts of both feet, and is genuinely pretty skillful. He will look to ball roll it past tackles, or drop a shoulder and beat a defender. He's aware of opportunities for nutmegs. Jeez, there's going to be some exciting times with this guy. There are obviously limits to what it means of mobility, both on and off the ball. He can't turn that fast. Still, though, I do think there's good speed to how Woltemeade can sidestep challenges and make small spins with defenders behind him. So the numbers are reflective of this. Woltemeade attempted 71 dribbles. This is this year. The year just gone. Excuse me. The season just gone. So 71 dribbles last season, completing 31 of them at 44% success rate. So less than half. That's around 1.7 per game. Is it astonishing numbers? No, the success rate isn't amazing, but Paul Anucho is 4 centimeters taller. I think it's a Southampton guy, no? And completed 0.6 dribbles per 90. So that skill is also shown in Woltemeade's link-up play too. His first touch is generally excellent, which is going to be crucial for us. And he's more than capable of executing disguise flicks, getting the ball to teammates first time in good positions. This is the part where I was saying that he's sounding more and more like a Firmino player, type of player. He's also pretty flexible in using not only both feet to pass, but again, different parts of his foot. In particular, Woltemade clearly likes the Trivela pass onto his right foot and uses it to make quick stab-like passes, which often catch defenders off guard. So, in general, I like the security he tends to bring in tight spaces. He can bring it under control, lay it off to teammates. He's very, very good. Although he's had 2 assists in the Bundesliga. However, he had 4.6 in expected assists. So his teammates haven't quite taken advantage of his ability to kind of create those kind of situations for them. So I think Gordon the Langer will be slightly better at doing that. So he does mention, Alex, because this is a great moment to mention how often Woltemade scans. I love his awareness, both before he receives a pass and afterwards. He's always going to have runners around him at Newcastle, I think. When he's getting the ball back to goal, he has a good idea of where the spaces are behind him, he can run into. It means he can quickly transition from receiving and running at goal. That's what the part he sounds like Ekatike to me. And if you actually look at FB Ref in terms of like the players that are similar to him, it's got Ekatike at 4th and Alexander Isak at 5th, which is interesting. Where is it? When he's around the box back to a defender, he's scanning to the wings to see where he's going to pass the ball to. This means he can often set teammates up with first-time passes. When carrying the ball forward, I think Woltemade shows good awareness of runners around him, helping him find the right option in the attack. Take all these skillful and psychological qualities and you have a pretty fun player. What's your thoughts on him so far? Like, what do you think? How do you think Eddie Howe is going to integrate him?
I think it's pretty plug and play. I think we're set up for this guy to work straight away. The team is already set up for an Alexander Isak, as you said on FB Ref, very similar players. But I actually feel that he suits our system ever so slightly better than Isak does. That's not me saying he's the same level. I just think he suits our system a little bit better. Whereas Isak is one of them strikers that I would say I used to play with a striker like it. If he has a chance to pass you the ball and put you in on goal, but there's also a chance he can pass you the ball in the same way, but slightly heavier, so it sends you slightly wide and cross it back in for him to score, Isak will do that. So you have to cross it back in so he still gets the goal. Whereas Woltemeade will put you in on goal. And he's very happy just to put you in on goal. It's like, there's certain times you see it's like he gets the ball, drops deep, he turns, a man makes a run in on the defender, but he then puts it wide to the fullback in the space that the wingers just created the run for. And then he gets in the box to try and get an under cross. Woltemade will try and find the wingers run instead of finding the fullback out wide. They're similar types of players, but Woltemade is a lot more direct with the way he wants to pass the ball. He doesn't turn and think, I'm just going to go right, get in the box. He'll see the run from Elanga Gordon and think, right, I'm going to try and find that guy.
Right. Yeah. I can see why you kind of obviously see him as that plug and play player, kind of. And the system's built for him.
It is definitely built for him, and I think we'll see a lot. The wide guys will get a lot more chances through him than what they would have got through Isak.
And even Mr. Ramsey, in terms of like box crashing midfielders, I think they could really profit from him as well. Alex goes on to say, in terms of that, talking about some negatives about, around goal scoring, I think Woltemeade is going to score a lot of goals in the future. And it actually goes on to say that, especially playing for a top 6 club. I think him scoring 10 in the league season is a pretty fair return, and that rises to 17, including penalties across all competitions, which was his return this season. However, he's an unconventional striker. I think that's good in some ways and doesn't need to change, but there is room to improve. So it's important to understand how Woltemeade is scoring goals. He takes most of his shots from central positions, which is a good start. All but one across all comps come from inside the box. So not really outside the box. Most come from his right foot or his head. Those that are taken with his foot are done in a very repetitive fashion. So on that last point, Woltemade almost exclusively wants to play shots with the side of his foot. So he's more of a finesse finisher rather than like a Delap or something like, I don't know, like a Kane that might lace it, for instance. He's very composed in front of goal. There are some delightful finishes this season where he nonchalantly chips the ball over an on-rushing keeper or calmly places it hard into the top corner. We'd love to see that against Leeds if he's able to do that. So he's pretty good at hitting shots first time on the cutback. This is really a difficult skill to master, and he's going to get a lot of cutbacks from Elanga and Gordon as well. And I wouldn't say he's efficient in these scenarios as Jonathan David, but Woltemade is still a danger on the cutback. He does say he can hit it with his laces. He just prefers to place it. Obviously, that decision comes with a lack of power, which often leaves shots easy to save for the goalkeeper. So remember, I said Woltemade struggled at Werder. I think this is why. So they had, that is Werder, they had the second fewest touches in the final third in the Bundesliga in 23-24. So, and Woltemade was getting just 4 touches in the box per 90 compared to Stuttgart at 8. And I actually look at Isak's stats of how many touches he got in the box last season for Newcastle. Isak got 6. So I would anticipate that, obviously, again, Woltemade would have a little bit more opportunities in the box, but it is a little bit more of a difficult league, obviously, than Bundesliga. So you've got something there. So Alex goes on to say, I missed it. Where did he say? Basically, I think Woltemade hasn't got the range to take advantages of lower XG chances, but is ruthless when it comes to higher XG chances. So you expect him to put away the easy chance, is what he's saying. In other words, he might be better at elites. He might be better at elite sides who dominate the ball rather than weak sides. Hence why he's coming to Newcastle. Then again, he's capable of creating these big chances for himself, and I like the fact that he's a self-creator as well. I don't know if you got to see that much of that, Mitch, when you were seeing him play. But
he creates nice little angles. Like, he'll get the ball in a position where you don't think it's a chance, and he'll create a nice little angle to get a shot off, to be fair. I think with him, we'll see similar numbers to what Isak has put up, but you will lose the special goals. Like the one where he cut in against Man City, buried it into the corner, the screamer against Liverpool last season, the one in the Tottenham game where he had Van der Ven spinning on his head. I think you lose special goals like that.
Yeah.
But you still get the same volume of goals. Right.
That makes sense. I want to see that again. So, and the other area is around his aerial ability or lack of. So he's where is he? He can prove. Where is it? We're going to talk about in a moment. It says, I know that he doesn't win. So this is just me saying it. I know that his aerial ability isn't the greatest. So it's not. You think that because he's tall, he's going to win a lot of balls, but he doesn't get overly physical with centre backs. And depending on what scouting report you read, some put that down to more of a psychological situation where he's not like a rough. How it comes across to me is that he's not a rough and tumble type of guy. That's why he's not winning the headers, essentially. That's why his heading is quite weak. But I don't know if that was your impression when you saw him.
He just has a bit of an odd heading technique. Some of the headers are like, there's a compilation. Do you know they do them last 20 shots compilations?
I've got that one. Yeah.
It's actually quite impressive. Like, a lot of the shots he's taking is the correct shot and it's close. or it's just a little bit too close to the goalie. But his heading technique just seems a bit odd. It's like a little bit like what I said about Gordon on Rivals yesterday. He just doesn't seem to position himself right for a header. He just seems to more throw himself at it and hope it goes in.
That makes sense. So Alex's verdict is that I really, really like Nick Woltemade. I'll post my notebook below and we'll see. Okay, so yeah, so perhaps I'm biased in that respect. What did they say? Okay, so perhaps I'm biased in that respect because he's easy to love. Big man who can dribble through tight spaces. Come on, it's awesome to watch. However, I do think Woltemade is going to become a very effective striker for an elite side. I know he's only been at Stuttgart a year, but I can envisage a big six pin. This is in June, remember. I know he's only been at Stuttgart for a year, but I can envisage a big six Premier League side pulling the trigger on him, like a team that finished fifth in Newcastle. There's a really unique, impressive foundation to work with. And depending on your opinion on how much he can improve on his weakness, you may have a superstar on your hands. What's your like just your final verdict? I mean, Mitch. I'm gonna before I go to kind of comparisons of Woltemeade to Isak at this stage of their career. I mean, was your impression that there is that foundation there?
Yes, 100%. I would say that this guy is the current level he's at is what we saw from Isak, not last season, the season before. I would say that's the level he's at right now. And for me, he has a slightly higher ceiling. So, and I think we've got the best manager to get that ceiling out of him. If he can tweak the heading bit and he fills out into his frame a little bit more, he builds his physique to be a little bit more like Ibrahimovic was. I genuinely believe he turns into an absolute monster.
He's come to the right club to do that.
Yeah. Philip, I'm going to have to shoot because I've got a very early morning tomorrow.
Yes, sir. But great to have you on.
Always,
thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Fantastic as well.
Take care, Mitch. God bless.
Yeah, take care. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Catch you next time. Thanks, Philip.
Incredible. So we're gonna do some comparisons with Isak and Woltemade at the same stage of their careers. But before I do that, we're gonna look at some of. It says I think it's the last 20 shots for Woltemade. We'll look at that in a moment. But I want to read a few of the comments you guys have been talking. Aaron Kane said Isak is class, but I do think attributes wise and watching Woltemade play a few times, he might take a few months adapting, but he's definitely going to be a world-class striker under Eddie Howe's coaching. I honestly, I'm getting that vibe as well. So hopefully we'll see that coming through. Again, Aaron says, I do think it's a great signing because he conducts attacks and has the footballing IQ to find space with tight dribbling. Just like Isak does, he will pick the right time to release our wingers. I agree as well. I think so. I think this will be the case as well. Tons of chats. Well done, guys. God bless you, folks. Call the difference. So Gary Mahone, I think, says Woltemeade is going to make all the difference. He's the real deal and is going to think all his Christmas have come at once in the team. Like Eddie Howe did with Isak, he'll make Woltemeade the world's #1 striker. I love that. Bobby Fairview says, given that insight on Woltemeade's ball striking, are you sure you want to pair him with Jackson? Woltemeade's conversion rate is good, so maybe it doesn't matter. Possibly, yeah. It's either Jackson or Whistler at the moment. It's going to be a close tie, Bobby. It's going to be a close tie, honestly. Oh, sorry. Gary says it's pronounced Woltemade. Woltemade. Nick Woltemade. I'll do that. Let me know if I pronounce it right, Gary. So before I compare, I want to see a few of these. I think it's the last 25 shots or something. I won't see all of them. I want to see a few of them before we compare him to Isak because I haven't got to see much of him. So I want to get you guys' take on it. So what is this? This is I think his last. What is it? It's his Nick Woltemade's last 25 shots. Let's see the next. Let's see how many we can, 5 or 10 maybe. And what's this all about his shot taking? He's not, again, he's meant to be more of they've got the volume on there. Better take it off. Let me see what you guys think. And let me know, guys, who's watched him play? Who's watched him play? Why is that sound still playing, by the way? Should be off. I know why. Here we go. I need to zoom in a little bit. Where is it? Why can I not take the sound off? That's annoying. Oh no. Let me see if I can let me stop sharing and take the sound off. Can I take the sound off? So yeah, let's see what his, here we go. Found it. Yeah, here we go. Found it. Let's see these shots. So it's meant to be more of a kind of a caresser of the ball rather than like, through the laces type of guy. And from what Mitch was saying, he was quite complimentary of his shooting technique. And let's see what they're saying. So let me rewind this a little bit. So this international, this looks like when he was playing for Germany. So you can see him picking up the ball in just outside the penalty box. Seeing good passing there. Oof, straight at the keeper. Good positioning. So you can see the little flicks and little technique there. Oof. Again, a little bit closer to the keeper. So it's a ball into the box. Oh, that headering is, yeah. Good strength there. Let me just see that again. Good strength there. See him turning the last man on the. Have I taken it too far? Oh, that's the funny header. Yeah, that's a funny header. That is not a great header. Lovely turning of that centre back. Turns him. Decent pace to get away. Does he get it in? Lovely finish. Decent. Turns. Close shots. Yeah, you can see why he's a danger. Good spin. On this time with the right foot. Clever. He didn't lace that one, did he? He loves the side foot. He's going for a slide foot again. He loves a side foot. Again, ball in. Yeah, his headering isn't the greatest, man. Jeez Louise. Oh, we got that one in, though. That was decent. Oh, better. Lovely first touch. On the ball, can he get it past? He's pretty good with his feet. Really is. He reminded me of a bit of a Katiki. Lovely. Better. Let me see that one again. The first touch was really, really good. Really, really good first touch there. Let me see that one again. Started it. Here we go. So that was the other one. Past the keeper. That was so unlucky. That there. First touch. Past the tackle. Third turn. Shoot. Not too bad. And 3 touches. Oof. Lovely layoff. Too close to the keeper. Layoff again. Oof. Penalty. He missed the penalty. Come on, broski. Side foot. This guy loves it. He does love this is like his last 25 shots. This gentleman loves a side foot finish. Goodness gracious. As long as he gets the goals in, it's all right, I suppose, isn't it? So let's compare him. He's obviously he turned 23 in this season. So 22 from 22 to 23. He turned 23 this season. When Isak went from 22 to 23, that was a 22-23 season, if that makes sense. So Isak's 25 now. When he was between 22-23, is the 22-23 season. Woltemeade is this season 24-25. So that's why I made the comparisons, and I went on FB Ref, folks, and I compared them. So I didn't compare Isak's 24-25 season. I compared Isak's 22-23 season when Isak was first joined Newcastle. When Isak first joined Newcastle, and now obviously comparing Woltemeade, who at the same age when he played for Woltemade, when he first joined this season with 24-25 season with, what do you call it? Who's he playing for? Stuttgart. Right. So where is it? Here we go. So let's see the comparisons. And kind of going back to what Mitch was saying about where the strikers are in their careers, and Mitch kind of places Woltemade a little bit ahead as well. Let's see what they're saying. So, I got my own thing in a way. So this is a comparison. So you guys will know from FB Rev, it looks at their playing time, their goals and assists, their shooting, their passing, the defensive actions. You see everything. Again, this is Isak's 22-23 season versus Woltemade's 24-25 season, comparing them at the same. So trying to compare the timelines in the same time as their ages as well. So eerily close is that Isak played 24 matches and Woltemade played 28 games this season. Isak played 1,600. This is in the leagues, though, not all competitions. This is in the leagues. Isak played roughly 1,600 minutes, whereas Woltemade played again roughly 1,600 minutes, only 50 minutes less. So it's a good comparison between the two, right? So they're both playing almost the same equal amount of minutes as each other within their respective leagues. Isak had more substitute appearances, 23 versus Woltemade's 5, while Woltemade started more often. Isak had 17 starts, whereas Woltemade had 19. So they're very, again, they're both 22, 23 at the time, and they're both trusted in the same way, almost in the same way as their respective teams. Now, goals and assists. Isak had in that season, again, league form only, Isak had 11 goals with 1 assist, while Woltemade this year, when he turned 23, Woltemade had 12 goals with 2 assists. So again, very, very, very close. Very, very similar. Isak's goals per 90 was 0.59. Woltemade's was 0.67, so a little bit higher. Both took 2 penalties each. Again, very scary in terms of just how close they are in comparisons. Shooting. Woltemade takes more shots, 2.55, which is good volume. You want it to get up to 3 to make it to be really, really good. Whereas Isak had 1.29 per 90 with a higher shot on target rate. So so what is it? Woltemade takes, with a higher shot on target rate. So he had even more shots on target, Woltemade. So, excuse me. So shooting, Woltemade takes more shots with a higher shot on target rate. So he had more shots volume and a higher accuracy rate, 50% to Isak's 14%. So already at this stage of his career, he's a lot more accurate with his shots. Those side foot shots are working out for Woltemade. Though Isak's conversion rate, so goals to shot ratio, 0.38 versus 0.43 is exceeds. So though Isak's conversion rate it edges out slightly. So Woltemade's XG, also his expected goals was 0.57. It exceeds Isak's at 0.45. Now again, context, is he just better at shots or shooting, or is it because he's playing in the Bundesliga compared to Isak playing in Premier League at the time? People can kind of might want to put that tax on it. I don't know. Passing, Woltemade completes more passes, 19.17 compared to Isak's 15. And I think Mitch alluded to that. He said, Woltemade is more likely to pass compared to Isak with a lower accuracy. So 70% to Isak's 79%. But his progressive passes, so getting out the pitch, is 2.9 versus Isak's 2.7. So he takes a little bit more risk with the passes. And key passes is even also higher, 2.06 versus Isak's 0.97. So he brings a lot of people into play with his key passes, his movement, shows greater involvement, so has a lot more involvement. Defensive action, Woltemade leads in tackles, in tackles 1 compared to Isak, clearances and blocks, while Isak has more interceptions than Woltemade. So a lot more defensive work from Woltemade as well. Possession, Woltemade has more touches typically as well, 43, whereas Isak had 43, whereas Isak had 33. again, Isak, Newcastle style is very, very direct. So I don't really. I personally wouldn't put too much into that, in my opinion. Heat map. The first heat map on the one on the left is Woltemade's, and on the right is Isak. So this is Woltemade. You can see really, really holds that the left side a lot, as well as in the penalty box where he got nearly all of his goals. Really, he holds onto that left side quite a bit. Isak's heat map, although he holds the left side, it is a lot more spread out. He's a little bit more involved in terms of the left and the right side of the midfield as well. So he's a little bit more across the pitches as well. So strengths and weaknesses at this stage. So strengths and weaknesses of Isak in 22-23 season. Strengths, he's efficient at finishing despite low shots on target rate. He has a physical presence and a growing goal threat in a new league. His weaknesses were limited passing and defensive contribution with lower overall involvement. Woltemade, at the same age, obviously 24-25 season, strengths, high shot volume, creative passing, defensive work rate, and dribbling ability. His weaknesses, though, are lower shot conversion efficiency and clinical finishing compared to Isak's potential as well. So they're quite different. Whereas Isak seems to be more of even though they've got the same goal, virtually the same goals and assists, Isak is seen as more of a in front of the kind of a target man striker, whereas Woltemade seems to be a lot more almost not a facilitator, but a striker that's more kind of involved in the all-round game of the team. Though I think Isak obviously has the same qualities. He does have the same qualities to be able to do that as well. They have very similar styles. So playing style, Isak's in that first season was more of a traditional 9 for Newcastle, relying on positioning and finishing within the box with a minimal off-the-ball work. Woltemade for Stuttgart is more of a dynamic forward. That's the word. He's more of a dynamic forward, blending striker duties with midfield linkage, defensive effort, and dribbling, resembling a more all-round attacker, which we know Eddie Howe really, really loves. So in conclusion, Woltemade's development versus Isak's. Remember, the same age. Isak is joining Newcastle round about essentially the same age as when Isak joined. Isak joined, I think he was 23 years old. Woltemade joins Newcastle at 23 years old. So at 23 years old, so Isak at 23 in 24-25. So at 24-25, Woltemade is at a similar stage to Isak, who was 23 in 22-23 end of season. So Isak in his full first Newcastle season scored 11 goals while adapting from La Liga, showing early promise. So maybe there's a target there for Woltemade. Can he get more than 10 goals this season? I think he can. Woltemade's 12 goals in 24-25 with a similar minutes in a competitive Bundesliga match Isak's output with added versatility in passing and defensive work. So he's got that added to what he's doing. So not just the goals, but also his passing and his defensive work. However, Isak's trajectory improved significantly in the post 22-23 season, where obviously in 24-25, the season just gone, he scored 23 goals, suggesting faster finishing development. Woltemade's broader skill set is ahead of Isak's at this stage, but he needs to refine his goal scoring efficiency to reach Isak's current elite level, which the key denominator for both is Eddie Howe. And that's where Eddie Howe I think Eddie Howe can help Woltemade's in front of goal to reach the elite levels to match his overall, his own kind of broader skill set that we talked about. So his goal efficiency to reach. So with Newcastle support, Eddie Howe and the staff, Woltemade has the potential to progress, especially if he adapts to the Premier League demand, which is obviously very crucial, especially as a big if. Can he adapt is going to be the crucial one. And obviously, how long is it going to take him to adapt? That's going to be the key point here as well. So, guys, let me know what you think of that. What do you guys think of Woltemade? What's your feelings on him? I will give my views at the end after I kind of read the chat, but there's a lot there. They're so similar in terms of what stage of their development they're at the moment. Woltemade a little bit more has a broader skill set he's bringing at the moment. Though I think again Isak is more than capable of doing what Woltemade can do, and we know how good, how exceptional, how quality-like Isak can be. Even Mitch talked about it, what a game changer he can be in his dribbling. We know what he's done to a lot of players. I don't think Woltemade can do what Isak did at Everton, what Isak did at Tottenham. I don't think Woltemade can do that. But Woltemade has showcased at this stage a more dynamic forward, bringing others into play. Whereas, and it can be down to roles, it can be what they're doing for their teams, but they've brought kind of different qualities with them, but are kind of at similar stages and even outputs as well. So Eddie Howe, I think this is very obviously as recruitment should be. This feels very, very targeted. That decision by Newcastle and by Eddie Howe to get this particular player, and you do wonder if the rumors around Larson and everybody else were just rumors, were just possibly smoke screens, and the way this deal was done. I just heard about it today. I wasn't Woltemade. I wasn't talking about him. I just heard about it on a group chat. Then 10 minutes later or so, whatever it was a here we go. It felt like 10 minutes. Like it was a here we go. And literally, that's how these moves make. And really, that tells me how seriously Newcastle were in getting Mr. Woltemade over the line. Mitch is in the chat. He's saying, I'll just script that. This is genuinely a signing that makes all the other big clubs think, why didn't we do that? I agree. I absolutely agree. Mitch says, Philip, thanks for having me. Always a blessing to have you, sir. Absolute blessing. Sorry, I had to shoot. Hit those likes, share the videos, and subscribe to the channel. Come on, folks. I don't know if have we reached 30 likes yet, guys? Let me know, because then the road to 40 begins. But if we haven't reached 30, then we need to reach 30, folks. All right. So what are you guys saying about Woltemade? See, I'm trying my best, Gary, to pronounce the name correctly. Where is it? What are you guys saying about Woltemade? So Martin Bland says Bayern were convinced he would step into Kane's boots and match his rate. So yeah, Bayern were convinced. It's a good start for us. Good reference point. Gary says his signing has restored all the belief and anticipation in our supporters had for the season. I'm happy for Bruno and the team. They deserve it. Brilliant. And it's very well received by people, honestly. Aaron says, I wish I could see the smile on Bruno's face right now at the signing. I'd give anything to see it. Absolutely, absolutely. Bobby Fairview says Newcastle doesn't really have time though. You need a new striker. Missing out on Wissa is a potential mistake. Yeah, potentially. I don't. Has there been like any news on? Is that a situation that's concluded now? He's definitely not been sold. Where is it else? Jacob Scott says Eddie's playing 3D chess, perhaps. Honestly, it's a 5D almost as well. Aaron says, what's everyone's thoughts on the draw today? Yeah, we'll get. I don't know if we'll get the time, but I want to just say to that is I'm buzzing about Barcelona at home. That'd be phenomenal. But I think we have a good chance. We have a good chance for qualifying for this group, for our group. I do really think that, honestly. Do you think Volts needs another striker next to him? He'll have two forwards next to him in the Langer and Gordon, but he can also play with Wissa. That would be really. And I think one of the online kind of scouts was saying that if you have all of them together, it's going to be absolutely dangerous. Honestly, Giniesta says 29 likes and 26 watching. That's phenomenal. That was at 11:57. Brilliant. That conversion rate is crazy. But I'm sure there's someone here, even though we've got 28 watching, there's someone here that hasn't hit the like button. Let's break that 30 barrier. Let's break that 30 barrier. So Gary Mahon says the recruitment team has been brilliant. How on earth did they keep this quiet for so long? Yeah, exactly. They've absolutely smashed it. Now, we've hit. I wanna. There isn't, obviously, when we started the show with this, honestly, which is, Isak replacement. Isak's on his way now that Woltemade is here. All that talk obviously has gone to, as obviously understandably so, has gone into that direction. I want to, and there's been various reports. I haven't read all of them. Some of them were headlines, but I am going to read the Iron newspaper's report because I haven't read it yet. So I'm reading it fresh with you guys. I anticipate that it will be a little bit more balanced. So that's why I'm reading it. I've seen a headline from Keith Downey saying that Woltemade is, for sure an Isak replacement, and for sure that a Liverpool bid is incoming, and essentially for sure Isak is going to get his dream move. I haven't seen what Luke Edwards has said. Let me just jump on Luke Edwards' thing. I've heard from others that he's doubled down on his perspective, which is that Isak is staying. Let me just see what he says quickly here. Let me show you guys what I'm watching, and then we'll read the report from the Iron newspaper with Mark Douglas, which I think hopefully I anticipate will add some balance. So let me share my screen with you guys. Guys are amazing, by the way. We're already past midnight, and you guys are, well, on the UK time. All right, so let me make sure you guys can see that. Can you see that? You can. So let me just zoom in on what I haven't read it yet, so it'd be interesting to see. So what does he say? He says a couple things. This is a lot of things. Okay, he said a lot of things today. Okay, let me. All right, I'm going to start from the top, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to read down, because we know that Luke Edwards has been adamant that Isak isn't going. So let's see what he's saying now. Breaking one of the three conditions. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. So one of the three conditions have been met for Isak to join Liverpool. So one of the three. He's doing a countdown here. They now need to match asking price, was set at £150 million, but we shall see. I missed my page now. Let me go back. Here we go. So they now need to meet the asking price, which was set at £150 million, but we shall see. And Newcastle need to know they can sign a second striker to replace him. It's going to be an eventful 4 days. So I think he's kind of anticipating something here. And he's reposted his own thing, which is sources have stressed that the signing of Nick Woltemade ends the search for Callum Wilson's replacement. So this is where all his jokes are coming from, right? So there's a battle of sources. There's a battle of wills here, which is who is Woltemade replacing? Is it Isak, or is it Callum Wilson? Keith Downey, Sky Sports northern journalist, is very clear that this is Isak. It's Isak replacements. Mr. Luke Edwards, again, Telegraph, is saying Callum Wilson's replacement. Nothing has changed. He goes on to say nothing has changed with Isak for now. Nothing has changed. I think a 70, 80 million pound signing gives a little bit of a change. But surely Liverpool will return with a second bid. a decision will need to be made when they do. So he's out. According to Mr. Edwards' sources, that Woltemade is Callum Wilson's replacement. Club have been looking for Callum. Again, he doubles down. Club have been looking for Callum Wilson's replacement, but signing this cost likely encouraged Liverpool in the Alexander pursuit. So you can read between the lines there. Club have been looking for Callum Wilson replacement, which he says is Mr. Woltemade, but signing of this cost, which is what, 70-80 million pounds, to encourage Liverpool, will encourage Liverpool to pursue. Yeah, if you're Liverpool, you're saying, yeah, that's not Wilson's replacement. That is Isak's replacement. If you believe that if you believe that Woltemade is Wilson's replacement, then I have a bridge to sell you. I think that would be Liverpool's perspective. And he actually says that Newcastle United and striker breakthrough after 65 million for Nick Ward deal agreed. So they paid 65 million according to Luke Edwards. Luke, he also says the most important thing is Newcastle have signed a striker after 3 months of searching for one. Whatever happens to Isak, the pressure is off Newcastle to an extent. So there is a truth in that, which is, and when he goes on to say, they can decide what they want to do, knowing they don't need Isak to play anymore. Let's wait and see. Right. So I do agree with that part. That part I do agree with, which is we're no longer, if we were kind of held hostage by Isak not playing, we have a striker now. We can be in the position if Liverpool continue to say Liverpool hold fast to this 110 million, for instance, we'll say fine, we'll continue as we are. We've got a striker. We're okay. It puts a little bit of the pressure off. Not all the pressure, but some of the pressure off in that situation. So there is some leverage that's gone from that. So let me know what you think about that, guys. Let me find the journal that I do want to read, which is from the Iron newspaper with Mark Douglas. I haven't read it yet, and I'm gonna read it live in front of you guys, because he will undoubtedly, Mr. Mark Douglas for the Iron newspaper will undoubtedly try to balance both sides. Isak, is he Isak replacement, Callum Wilson replacement, reading between the lines of it all, because that's his style. So I do like Mr. Douglas's approach. So let's share the screen. I'm going to be reading live with you guys, so I have no idea what it's going to say. This is just because I haven't had time to read it, folks. So let's see what it's going to say. All right, so let me, before I do that, oh, that's annoying. Let me back up. What are you saying? I'm already logged in. Oh, you know, let me read it. I am logged in. I'll go to your comments in a moment. Let me make sure I get myself. Here we go. All right, cool. So yeah, we're ready to go on that side. But let me see what you guys are saying in the comments first. Where are we? Wow, tons of comments as well as always. What you guys saying about Luke Edwards? Is he right? Are the sources correct? Are they saying is Woltemade a Callum Wilson replacement? So, fella on NUFC Talk TV tonight lives in Saudi. Apparently spoke to Yasser personally, and Yasser told him Isak is going nowhere. Oh, I saw that as well. All of this, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Like in the next 4 days, we're going to absolutely find out. If Newcastle end up with a front line of Woltemade and Isak, that's going to be bananas, honestly. That's gonna be bananas. I'm gonna keep my powder dry. Aaron Kane, the Saudis have said he's not going unless the 150 million valuation is met. They aren't lowering that valuation, and I don't see them. And I don't see Liverpool. I don't see them paying it. That being Liverpool. Okay, so we've got folks holding fast. We're going to find out. We're going, especially when Liverpool, which we anticipate, will put a bid in. Gary says, so it's really assuring that we have a striker backup for Osula in his hand. He is screwed. So, Sarah Robson says, so Woltemade and Osula in a two-pronged forward line in a 4-4-2 formation. Lots of pace, lots of power, lots of intelligence, lots and lots of movement there for sure. Martin Bland says, the messaging has not changed. Liverpool agenda are still spouting the same. Our lot are saying the same as last week. Well, our lot are saying, when we're saying, if we're saying our lot, like Craig Hope, for instance, and others, I think he's more with, he's saying he's different to, when we say, I think Edwards is in his own camp at the moment. Our lot are saying the same as last week. I think it's one of the most it's one of those that none of us will know until Monday. Honestly, I'm not saying it, I mean it like this. The suspense is killing me. Gary says this is going to turn out to be one of the most significant signings we've ever made. Wow, it's monumental. And someone has posted that he's a Toon supporter. Don't know about that. I wish I had more time to read. I'll have to know. Agent Cruz. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Now we've given Cruz even more reason to sign up for membership at Newcastle United and make sure that it'll be amazing to see Cruz at St. James Park. Once Brentford have signed Maximilian Birre, then Brentford will release Wissa. There is that. And Birre is like 70 million or 60 million. Brentford are going mad. Jacob Scott, it's true, Gary. I saw him eating chips with gravy at half time. Goat Father says, Gordon, Woltemade, Isak, Elanga. If Isak stays, would be nice. I think we'd have one of the deepest front lines in the league if that was the case, honestly. BT says, it all depends on the club accepting the right fee for Isak, irrespective. If the club sign 2 strikers, it is going to be interesting, isn't it? It's interesting now with the Woltemade signing. What did Isak offer? What did Liverpool offer? And if Newcastle get the 2 forwards, what are Liverpool going to be offering? So that's going to be super interesting. Gary says, I really like your site. So important to include the watchers' respect. Gary says, I really like your site. Thank you, sir. I think you're talking to me. So important to include the watchers' respect. Oh, yeah, I think you are talking to me. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate for that, sir. Really appreciate for that. Sarah Robson says, I honestly think that on principle, Isak will not get his own way. PIF are going to prove that we are not allowed to be a walkover by a spoiled little brat. We're going to find out on Monday. Honestly, we're going to find out on Monday. So let's read this report from Mark Douglas. And let's see what he's saying about the whole situation. Again, I'm anticipating a balanced view from him, and then we'll head to get your views and head to the conclusion for the show. All right. So, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that. All right. So, as always, you guys know I say Mark Douglas is the one guy that had Mr. Paul Mitchell for an hour and a half. So he gets a lot sat down for an interview with him. So he's got some decent sources at Newcastle United, in my opinion. But he also does really, really well, in my opinion, to bring balance and bring other perspectives and give his own impression as well. So, and he wrote this today. Mark Douglas says, Newcastle sources have stressed, same as what Luke Edwards' words were, the word stressed, that Woltemade's arrival does not necessarily mean Isak will be allowed to leave. So essentially, don't just think we've got Woltemade that Isak's on his way. Again, you can read that in one of 2 ways. Brinksmanship, like essentially, is who's going to Newcastle are refusing to blink first. Essentially, is what he's saying. I've gone back again. Let me just make sure I get this back on. So yeah, here we go. All right. So let me. Are we gonna have funny stuff again? Hopefully not. Let me get you guys back on it. All right. So Mark says Newcastle have agreed club record deal for Stuttgart striker Nick Woltemade in a move that swings the door open for Liverpool to sign Isak. Now, this is whether that's sounds to me that that's Mark's point of view. So, that's what he's saying. So, despite what's also telling him, hey, buying Nick Woltemade swings the door open. It's open for Liverpool to come. So, the Magpies are poised to finalize. And why is now it's kind of justifying why he's saying that. So the Magpies are poised to finalize a package worth 65 million plus 4 million in add-ons for Woltemade. So just underneath 70. I think it's very close to the Isak transfer fee as well. For Woltemade, who was flying to Tyneside, I think he's landed on Thursday night to undergo a medical at Newcastle to race as Newcastle race to complete the deal before the weekend game against Leeds United. Hopefully we'll see him at the Leeds United at the Leeds game. So it is a huge coup for Eddie Howe, it is, who have previously had 8 bids for centre forwards rejected. Only 8 for centre forwards rejected, but have kept negotiations with the 23-year-old and his club under wraps until everything was tied up. So it looks like it was so under wraps. None of us knew about it. Honestly, I found out that today about it. They're done really well. And Stuttgart have proven to be very good partners. They haven't gone to the media about this. They haven't said, hey, Newcastle about to close this deal, like RB Leipzig and everybody else. They've worked with us on it, so fair play to them. And that might be partly the reason why the fee is also high. Newcastle have bought their silence. Maybe that's just my guess, my opinion. So Newcastle are braced for a second offer from Liverpool as a result of all of this for Isak, which the paper reported is expected before Monday's deadline day. So it could be today, it's Friday right now. Though that has not been forthcoming thus far. Interesting. Interesting. So why has it not been forthcoming? Club sources have stressed that Woltemade's arrival does not necessarily mean Isak will be allowed to leave in return. Okay, so qualify that for us, Mark. What do you mean by that? What is that all about? Why does it not necessarily mean that? And he says, Newcastle have always insisted they needed to sign 2 strikers before allowing Isak to leave. And this, we can relate this back to the Luke Edwards situation, when Luke Edwards says 1 of 3 conditions have been fulfilled, which is Newcastle, we've signed 1 striker, we need to buy a 2nd striker, and Liverpool need to meet our valuation of 150 million. Now, Mark Douglas is saying Newcastle have always insisted they needed to sign 2 strikers before allowing Isak to leave. Okay, so let's see what happens. But he says, however, their pursuit of Jurgen Strand Larsen has become complicated after Wolverhampton Wanderers insisted they would not sell him for any price, and that appears to be the case. The Magpies are also keeping tabs on, and I think it's also been said in the reports that we're not buying Larsen and Woltemade. They're 2 similar styles. I think that maybe Keith Downey said that, to be honest. So the Magpies are also keeping tabs on in Johan Wissa, but again, there's the but. The paper can reveal that Brentford starts remains. That DR Congo International is not for sale. So Larsen's not for sale. Wish is not for sale. Nobody's for sale, apart from Jackson. We'll find out if Mr. Jackson is going to be mentioned in this report. I don't know if Mr. Verb is still in the chat. We're going to find out if Mr. Jackson still is mentioned in the report. So there will be huge, and again, when they're saying not for sale, you can interpret it as that, again, brinksmanship, posturing, but also it does also, if we're speaking truthfully, is this is not a willing seller. Like, despite whether you think the person's saying it's not for sale, but really there is a price, and do you believe that? And don't be silly, don't be naive. Of course, they're for sale, as some people have that point of view. Which can be the case, but also you also can take it as it is. However you take it, really, in both instances, whether you believe it or not, whether it's Brentford with Johan Wissa or whether it's Wolves with Larson, when they say not for sale, they're both not willing sellers. They're not willing sellers. If you say I'm leaving, they're not going to be chasing you. They're, I'm leaving. I'm not making this deal. They're not going to be chasing you, like in both cases. So, anyway, Mark Douglas goes on to say, there will be a huge satisfaction at St. James's Park that they have brokered a deal for Woltemade, snatching him under the noses of Bayern Munich. And I hope for all the people that start telling me about food chain this and food chain that, you're at the bottom of the food chain and know your place. Bayern Munich have won more Champions Leagues than most of your clubs, more league titles than most of your clubs, and are bigger than most of your clubs. Now, not me saying that we're bigger than Bayern Munich, obviously not, but it proves to show that all this stuff around know your place is just gobbledygook. So, who saw him as a potential long-term successor for Thomas Müller? That's interesting, because Thomas Müller is more of a number 10. I have to explore that a little bit more. Because Woltemade, I'm talking to Mitch about it. Woltemade has a very broad skill set. Is he almost like an alternative to when we're going to have João Pedro? Okay. I'll have to. For those that watch the João Pedro one, João Pedro could play in the kind of modern 10 role, but it was also going to be a striker. Woltemade looks like he can play in the 10 role as well, modern 10. Not just offensively good, but defensively good. But also can slip into the number 9 position. So it's interesting that Bayern Munich were looking at him as a Thomas Müller replacement, not a Harry Kane replacement. I didn't see that. I wish I read that earlier. That's interesting, because that for me also indirectly supports that that Woltemade isn't necessarily a direct replacement for Isak. Even if it does turn out to be that Isak stays at Newcastle, Woltemade and Isak can play together in that case, in my opinion, anyway. So anyway, at 23, he's still a work in progress. He is. We talked about him in terms of his scouting report, but there is a huge excitement about his potential in Germany and how he's understood to be enthusiastic at the prospect of working with him. That's always a good sign when Howe's enthusiastic about them. So I think Douglas is about to make a mistake here. Imposing in the air. He's not imposing in the air. You need to read. You'll see the scouting reports. He's not imposing in the air, but technically gifted. He is technically gifted. Woltemade adds a new dimension to Newcastle's attack, and if the club can sign another striker, if being the operative word, while banking the financial wiggle room they would get from selling Isak, they will feel satisfaction at navigating their way out of a difficult situation. Now, I don't know if there's truth to this, right? There's a couple of things. I'm taking this as Mr. Douglas's opinion, but I think there's truth in the opinion, which is if Newcastle buy 2 strikers, say it's Wissa for 40 million, and now obviously Woltemade for 65, coming up to 70 million, so nearly 110 million spent on 2 strikers, and we were to sell Isak hopefully for 150 million. As a total package, you never like to lose someone of the potential of being a world-class player in Isak. You never like to miss that. But as a total package, the 2 strikers in, the 1 striker out, the 100 million spent to get those 2 strikers in to the 150 million gained, as a total package in the whole situation, Newcastle are winners in the overall grand scheme of things, even though the process has been very ugly, at times humiliating for all parties aside. So there is truth in what Mr. Douglas is saying. And I'm going to come to you lot's comments in a moment as well. So the iPaper understands that Yasser Al-Rumayyan's presence at the club this week has proved significant. Yeah, whenever he comes, you get big time signings. With Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund taking a hands-on role in the final days of the transfer window. PIF are now the ones calling on the shots. Very interesting. Very, very. We know that obviously they went to his house and everything with Mr. Rubin. PIF are now the ones calling on the shots on Isak, and their outlook has always been that the move needs to work for Newcastle, and we saw that from the statement, and we know the conditions that needs to be met in order for that to happen. So we'll see. That was made explicit he actually goes on to say it. That was made explicit by the statement issued last week, which detailed the conditions, in quote, that needed to be met for such a deal. Okay. Then he goes on to say, so he's outlined what the club think, right? If Isak is to be moved, it has to be in the interest of Newcastle United. We know the conditions for that. Now, Mr. Douglas is going to give his opinion on that. And he says, but in reality, so does that mean that we're not in reality? Does that mean PIF are not in reality? Or does it mean that I'm going to be kind? I think you're trying to say is, yes, this is PIF's stance, but if we're looking at the cold hard facts, but in reality, the Isak situation has cast a shadow over the club. Yes, I would agree with that. For more than a month, and there are influential voices who believe that a resolution that sees him leave would be best for all parties. Now that's very interesting, guys. And I'm going to ask you guys in a moment about what I wanna get your views on this. This is a very interesting sentence here. So it says, but in reality to what PIF are saying, which is PIF are saying, hey, if Isak's going to move, it's going to be after these conditions. What Mr. Douglas is saying, but the situation is cast a shadow over the club. Like it don't look good, right? Despite what PIF are saying, right? But however, and there are influential voices, so he doesn't want to give away he does not want to give away his source here. Who are those influential sources? Is it Eddie Howe? Is it Jason Tyndall? Is it Andy Howe? Is it our head of recruitment, Nick? I forgot his name all of a sudden. Guys, you have to help me in the chat. Our head of recruitment. Who is it? Who are the influential voices? Like, there's about 4 or 5. We're obviously Eddie Howe at the tip of that, like very high of that. So when it goes, voices who believe that a resolution that sees him leave would be best for all parties, right? So this leads me to think these two sentences. PIF want one thing. They want their conditions to be met, right? 2 strikers and £150 million, please. There are influential voices in the club. Say, for this example, Eddie Howe, Jason Tyndall was saying, man, forget the conditions too much. Yes, we need some striker or whatnot. But can we please let's get rid of Isak. This is not a good scene. Like, even if we can keep him, the reintegration isn't going to be great. It's going to take ages. Like, come on, guys. Let's not do this, or whatnot. So there's, for me, not necessarily a split, and maybe it goes back to what Craig Hope was saying, which was that there are divided opinions on Isak. That's what it's showing to me. In my opinion, I lean towards PIF because I think there is a long-term view, in my opinion, of if you just let this guy go after making a big old statement about we want 2 strikers, we want our valuation met, and one of the things aren't met, and he gets to leave anyway, people are going to forever remember this. This is an unforgettable transfer window for Newcastle United, and they're going to forever remember this and say that your word doesn't count. Right? Rival clubs are going to remember this, and they're going to make us very vulnerable in terms of people coming in for our club. Because now, if you're a player, you will see that and say, "Oh, after this, what Isak does, I'm just going to fly back to my home country until they move me." Because they will move me. They will give up. It doesn't matter how many official statements they make on Newcastle online, on TV, on our official website. They will move me. They don't like my shadow casting over the club. So for me, that's where I see the mid to long term for Newcastle, why it's important. The influential voices that Mr. Douglas is referring to, who could be Eddie Howe, could be others, are for me, are thinking of the now. They're thinking of what it means for the team, camaraderie, for the spirit, for the morale, and all of that, which is understandable. But it's short term and it's for the now. I think I lean towards the PIF version because it's more mid to long term in my view. So let's finish this. It says, crucially, there was no change in Isak's stance on playing for the club again after PIF delegate. Okay, so then he kind of qualifies us even further. Crucially, on the back of what the others are saying, which is we should let him go. Crucially, there is no change on Isak's stance on playing for the club again after PIF delegation alongside co-owner Jamie Rubin. I almost said Ruben Amorim. A co-owner Jamie Rubin visited him before Newcastle played Liverpool on Monday night. Again, I don't know why we're going to his address. He needs to be coming to Newcastle's offices. I've made up my mind about that, but we did it anyway. That, along with our Ramayan being in a position to sanction bids, feels like might have changed the situation. Okay. It is set to be a dramatic conclusion to a fascinating summer on Tyneside. What is that? Let me just rewind a little bit. He says, crucially, there was no change in Isak's stance on playing for the club after a PIF delegation alongside co-owner Jamie Rubin visited him before Newcastle played Liverpool on Monday night. Okay, fine. Keep that in mind. They visited him, along with our Ramayan being in a position to sanction bids, feels like it might have changed the situation. Change the situation how? Are PIF now leaning towards what the influential voices are saying? Or is it, crucially, there was no change in Isak's stance. So what's changed? Isak's stance? I don't know. Like, it hasn't changed, so that hasn't changed. You guys have to help me in the chat. That's a good segue for me to go to the chat and see what you guys are saying before we conclude the show. But let me know what you guys are thinking. Again, like I said, balance is always going to be a balanced report. You hear both sides of the argument. I think Mr. Douglas is probably on the side of the influential voices in the club that just sell the guy, sell Isak. I'm as always probably going against the grain a bit, and I'm like, no, don't sell Isak. Not because I don't like. I want to keep him forever, or I don't want Liverpool to have him. I think we can only sell him under our conditions. We've been very, very open, public, and clear about our conditions, and we cannot, at this stage, back down on them. Let me see. So, all right, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Where do I start? Where do I start? It'll go. Eddie moves in mysterious ways. I love that. Okay, let me get out. Hold on. Let me see. I don't want to miss too many people. Has it stopped moving? Okay, here we go. So let's start with BT. BT says, I do not believe what Mark Douglas has reported. Just paper talk. Which part don't you believe, BT? Let me know. I'll be keen to know. Jacob Scott says, Craig Hope said on YouTube, Wissa agent has flown into UK tonight in prep for talk for Wissa move. Everyone's flying into the UK. Let's see what happens. Choppy says, hi, I feel audio is much better. Thank you. If you was here earlier, it wasn't much better, but but thank you. Alf says, big up Philip in the chat. Smash up with the likes, people, and subscribe, please. Thank you for that, Alf. Yes, folks, please do like, share, and subscribe. Gary says, we've just outdid everyone with this signing. Gyökeres iffy. Tesco suspect. Tiki Taka way overpriced. We won. It could be the case. It could be the case. Alf says, I just want this Isak saga to come to a conclusion as an Arsenal supporter. Mate. Let's see what else you guys are saying. BT says, we do not need Keith Downey to tell us what Woltemade and Larson are like. Are alike. Well, you only have to watch how both play. That's true. Go Father 4-4-2. We do 4-4-2. Honestly, throughout our games, everyone, there was a big thing early in the season about Newcastle can't play 4-4-2. We play 4-4-2 like literally almost in every game. There are phases in the game we're playing a 4-4-2. Like it's insane. Choppy says Isak's agent is calling the shots. The flaming so and so. Well, I don't know. Well, Isak, I think Isak is playing his part, honestly. Gary says Isak is screwed. He will never play for Liverpool and he's lost the war. You don't mess with PIF. So you seem quite confident that PIF won't back down. Choppy says, I find it hard to listen to Phil and read the comments at the same time. Yeah, sorry. BT says Woltemade, he can play a variety of. Okay, so about Woltemade. Let's see. This is maybe towards what I said about him possibly playing in a 10. Okay, so let me read that. Sorry. Woltemade, he can play in a variety of attacking positions, number 9 or a 10. He has yet to specialize in one. Okay, fair play. Fair play. That makes sense. Gary says the shadow over the club was just the media wanting it to appear that way with their anti-Newcastle agenda. Their PIF don't care. They win in the end. So Gary's very, very confident. Choppy says, hi, I feel Newcastle are doing this without a CEO and DOF. Yes, they are. They very much are. When we do a review of this transfer window, we will do a review probably next week. Yeah, we'll have to do it next week, Tuesday night. Make sure you guys tune in. We're going to be mentioning that. All of this was done without a DOF and a CEO. Aaron Kane says it is in the best interest of the club to keep him until next season. Every team will be looking for a striker. Every team will be looking for a striker. He'll have 2 years left on his deal. Bayern, Barca will need a striker, make a bid in war. I think ideally that's what PIF want. And the influential voices are going to have to get back behind it. David Barter, no shadow over the club. The players we have brought in are quality. The Isak situation is a joke. We will keep him out of principle, in my opinion. Again, I don't disagree. Choppy says, let's see who matches Isak's £150 million get out clause. Then Newcastle will listen. Yeah, I think Liverpool's bid, what they're going to bid, is going to be absolutely important to this, because it'd be interesting if they bid, like for instance, if we've got a Woltemade, we haven't secured a second striker yet, but there's so many different reports on what Liverpool are going to bid. But if they bid, for instance, if Liverpool bid, say for instance, 140 million with 10 million in add-ons, like that matches the valuation, right? I think that matches the valuation. There's only one condition left, and that's to get the second striker in. So, unless you guys disagree, unless you think it's 150 million clean, I don't think it's going to be 150 million clean. But if they bid 130, which is what people are saying, they said, 130 is going to get over the line with, however however many add-ons. The add-ons are going to be important. If they say 130 million, 20 million in add-ons, that's going to be interesting. What are the add-ons, for instance? If they bid 130 million and 10 million add-ons and 5 million add-ons, then I don't know what to say about that. And Newcastle get 2 strikers in. Do they soften? I think there's a likelihood that they do. Does it mean they look soft or that they've broken their word? I can see an argument being made for that because 150 million pounds being bounded about, but it depends on how you take the 150 million pounds. Do you take it as the threshold, or do you take it as, the price they are ambitious to get, and they're willing to get something a bit lower? I don't know. We're gonna find out. We know the media aren't gonna. It's gonna be interesting how the media report it. Gary says, Phil, Isak is going nowhere. The PIF are making a stand. We don't do this to them. These people never come second. Let's see. Nick wants. What would you do, Gary? If Liverpool match the 150 million pounds, whether it's 140 plus 10 in add-ons, 130 plus 20 in add-ons? Let me know, Gary. Would you see that as a win for PIF? Nick One says it's more important to NUFC to get rid of Isak ASAP. Interesting. Keeping Isak maintains the media drama and until the January window. But you're gonna get media drama anyway. It might be Isak today. It's going to be someone else tomorrow. Choppy says, I was fed up with Newcastle yesterday. It's not that bad. I get that. Bobby Furby says the law has changed. Power has shifted to the players. So I don't think there's a risk of Newcastle increasing its risk to other players. It's going to happen anyway to all clubs, not just Newcastle. Yeah. Let's see what happens, really. Let's see how the law works, really. I'm still trying to learn. Dan Burnham Woltemade, that says, yeah, 2 tall guys. Sink says, think he's insinuating the fact that key board members has flown out to speak to Isak, rejected, and number 2, stayed close to offices, likely helped seal Woltemade, insinuate a sell is likely. Okay. So yeah, think he's insinuating that the fact that the key board members has flown out to number 1, speak to Isak, rejected, and number 2, stay close to the offices, likely to help seal Woltemade, insinuates that sell is likely. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, because PIF are in town. That makes sense. Yeah, Gary is very excited for the season. Aaron is saying, question for everyone, does the signing of Woltemade kill the interest of us signing number 10? We know we need 1, but Woltemade can do all of this. I think it kills us having to buy like an elite expensive number 10. I think we probably buy a raw talent from someone. This time we will go to somewhere and take a risk on a young player, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and see where it gets us. Really, I can see that happening. Let's see what folks are saying. BT says, I have never the club say that they wanted 150 million from Isak. Where did the 150 million come from? It started in January, and it was first reported. I can't remember who first reported it, but I remember that Sky News, I forgot what game it was, even interviewed Isak about it and said, hey, did you know that the club have put 150 million pounds on your head? Not on your head like that, but that's what it was. So it started from there and it's continued on. Luke Edwards has again said it, 150 million pounds just today. So yeah, that's very much the case. David Barter says, Philip, even if they bid 150 million, I don't think there is enough time to do the deal. The way Sink broke it down earlier, the PIF guys are in town. I think there's everyone that needs to be there to make this deal happen are there. If it needs to happen, right? I think it can be done in time if it were to happen. I think it can be, honestly. Stink says, I can't see Liverpool bidding 150 million. I think Liverpool will go to 135 myself. but I think they will pay a big chunk now, 70 to 80 million, paid immediately, and rest over the course of a contract. So in sync, do you think that will be a win for Newcastle? Do you think that would be, considering everything they've said so far about conditions and everything else? Let me know, sync. I would love to know. Well, I'm going to give another 5 minutes to the chat, and we'll conclude. This is the longest show we've done ever, so it's been absolutely amazing. Martin Bland says, it's an educated rumor. It's the feeling, but not confirmed. His market value has actually changed to 200 million. Don't do this to me, Martin. Jacob Scott says it could be, but I don't think it is. 150 million is from journals. They said the club values him at. Yeah, they've been saying that for a while, to be honest. Gallowgate says, you prefer a Larson or Wissa? I think I prefer Wissa, probably, now that we've got Woltemade. David Bart says, could be worse. We could have lost to Grimsby. It could always. Can it get any worse? It can. Choppy says, for me, yeah. Okay. Gary says, I now think with our new strength squad, the Prem title is achievable. Wow, you heard it here first from Gary. Why NWA, or You Will Never Walk Alone, says some Newcastle fans slowly realizing 130 million will help their club. Deal will be done tomorrow. Tomorrow, wow. That is confidence. YNWA says, ignore Edwards. He is just talking rubbish, stirs about every club. But why ignore Edwards and not ignore Keith Downey, or ignore essentially the reporters that are favouring Isak move? Why have you made that sort of why have you selected those reporters one way out? YNWA? Let me know. All right, so we're coming to the conclusion of the show. We've talked about, we gave an in-depth pre-match review for the Leeds game. Myself, Mitch, the chat, a lot of us are confident of a win, but we have to be intense. We have to win the midfield battle. We have the ability to do that even with the player, even with Tonali and Joe Linton out. Leeds have got their key important players out as well. Woltemade could be on the bench. He could come off and score the winner. That would cap things off, honestly, for us. You guys sent in your predictions as well. Then we talked about the big signing of Mr. Woltemade, Nick Woltemade, very promising and a player. We talked about the scouting review of him, a very extensive scouting review, compared him to Isak at the same ages, so 22, 23. And there's a lot of similarities. They're quite even in their quality, though they bring different things to the game themselves. I'm very excited about what Woltemade can bring to Newcastle as well, and just discovered he can be in the 10 as well. So he can play with a second striker, whether that's Isak or Wissa or whoever. We're going to find out. And speaking of Isak and Wissa, we moved on. We read Mark Douglas's report on all of this, talking about the whole saga and everything else about it. Again, it's going to go down to the wire. Isak staying, Isak going. It's going to go down to the wire. And look, you guys have been absolutely phenomenal. The likes to the views conversion rate is insane. Haaland settings, right? And longest show ever, and I've still got 30 people watching. You're amazing, guys. Make sure you look after each other. Make sure that whatever you do, you're well. And as always, folks, take care and God bless, folks.